right now. Late seconds, welcome. All right, hope you guys are doing good. Up against Alexander. I presume that is Alexander Nuts. Yo, yo. Unless it's a different Alexander. But I don't see any. Indeed, we are playing Nurgle, by the way. I think they're playing Bretonnia. Ooh, that's pretty good for me. Nurgle versus Bretonnia. We're on Skollendir's Cave. That's kind of a big map. That's a little less good, but I think we'll be fine. Karaf there, hello. I'm gonna try using some Nurgle Chosen. I think we can get some good work done. And we're gonna see if we can master this darn faction. Exalted Plague Bearers. Ooh, I think there's a few matchups where they're not bad. A lot of units. But yeah, first things first, Bretonnia. How does one defeat such a faction? The map is massive. I gotta make sure that they don't just cycle charge me to death, yeah. There he is. Oh boy. Tabal, hello. Artemis, hello. Count Games. Yo, I'm thinking, by the way, of starting some new player tournaments, by the way. Special announcement. But I'm going to see if I can get like new player tournaments where to incentivize new players to sign up. All you gotta do is play at least one match in the tournament. Or actually, we'll make it like you know, 2-3 matches. If you play 2 or 3 matches, you are entered into a raffle to get a free DLC or maybe a small prize. But I think a free DLC would be sick. So I'm seeing if I can acquire some keys for that. If not, I guess I can also just pay out of pocket. But I think that would be very fun. I think that would be sick. But this is all part of the greater Anticity League thing that I kind of want to do, where we also do like regular multiplayer balance patches and so on. I want it to be a whole thing, since my videos are doing pretty well for Warhammer. We might want to just stick around and have fun. So all very exciting, but first things first, we got this tournament. If Blackworks are good here, then Chosen might be too. Probably not bad, yeah. Gonna killing Cav. They do need a little bit of mass. They do need a smidge of mass, or they might just die. Let's see here. Am I gonna deal with the Peasant Swarm or the Cav maxing? This feels okay. If I remember correctly, Nurgle's pretty rough at balancing their budgeting. But I can live with that. Magic-wise, what's best versus Bretonnia? Honestly, I feel like this map is way too big for me. I feel like we're gonna get mega wrecked. This map is kind of massive. But Bretonnia should not be unbeatable, at least. This is kind of like a, yeah, it's kind of an okay loadout. Sure. Oh man, dude, I feel like the heroes and casters are so expensive though. If there's one thing that makes me a little wary, it's that. Embrace suffering with grandfather. Suffering indeed. There's gonna be a lot of that. On a map this giant. Oh, I guess some of this strategy might do okay. Maybe one of these. You have to be a little careful here that you actually have enough units to summon onto the battlefield. I have to be really good about my D summons and such. Nurgle kind of janky like that. But at least this build seems pretty sufficient. We're gonna lock in. Fingers crossed we can win against Bretonnia. I think last time I played... Well, last time I lost Nurgle versus Bretonnia, was that versus Alexander? It might have been. It could very well have been that way, so... We'll see. Alright. So I gotta do some messaging. Alright, there we go. Messaging is done. Alright. I'm trying to make my tournaments count for the leaderboard more. Sign-ups have just been very low lately, so... If we can get that done, I'm happy. Here's the build. Noxbringer. Very nice on a big map. We got some Marauder Horsemen. Armor Blocker. I got it. We good. Though, I guess I did kind of traumatize you guys that one time. Pretty good, look, have fun. I'm back in the swing of things though. We're checking the blocker. You may be wondering, where's my caster? They're right here. They're just a basic spirit leecher, nothing too crazy. This guy has a damage reflect going. It's great. We're gonna play further away from the middle. I think the middle is death. That's an easy way to get all of your Pestigores caught up and murdered. And this feels a little bit better. There's going to be a fairly heavy infantry build. Interesting. And again, okay dodge at the very beginning. And since it's mass infantry, I can pretty comfortably just head over here. Noxbringer wants to back up and be a little careful. Axe throwers are going to get a little bit of damage on these human. I mostly just want to dodge though. We got a second capture point. That's very nice. And if that's Alberic, yes, I do want a Spirit Leecher. If it was Lewin, no Spirit Leeching required. Alberic is such a different beast. You gotta be a little careful. So far the skirmishing is going pretty well though. We've managed to not lose too much. And already, we can start the pummeling. With the Noxbringer. What's Alberic gonna do? Is he really gonna come in here and take some free damage just so he can contest this point? That seems like generally a fairly bad idea. As it kind of lets me just up trade here. These human are gonna get charged too. Though I have to be careful. There's bowmen there. You gotta be a little wary. Taking a lot of damage though. We do have the capture point. I'd say overall I'm fairly comfortable. I can give up this point now. There's no point holding it. Because we're here mostly to trade. Noxbringer is just amazing. It truly is a very strong unit. The question is, what now? What do we do now? I think we mostly just want to keep Spirit Leeching Alberic. We're gonna do that. Gonna take a pot shot at the human. Noxbringer with a fairly fast shot right into center mass of all those guys. It's gonna be pretty painful. It does hit a few human. And then Alberic's gonna come in and he's gonna get absolutely clobbered. Another great thing we can do is get some harass on these archers. Potentially bully them. Noxbringer with the sneaky shot on those archers over there. The bullying shall continue until morale improves. Alberic has taken a decent amount of damage so far. He's not gonna like this, that's for sure. And the flyers are actually forgotten in the distance. Pretty solid for me. But you have to be a little careful. Alberic, of course, is in here. He's a menace. Oh, those archers, though. Getting beat up pretty bad. That's going to be another one biting the dust. And Alberic is not very happy about this. He actually gets routed off. It's pretty devastating for the poor Bretonnians. And if these Furies manage to escape, I think we just win this. Here comes the Spirit Leech. He's slowed by the Pestigors, which is hilarious. Noxbringer's getting mega value. And then, oh my goodness. Bro cannot move. Alberic's just straight up dead. I think I just need to finish the job. We're going to turn off Fire at Will on these guys. Because I definitely want to finish the job before the heal comes in. He's going to chuck out the heal. Oh, but he dies. GG. Nurgle best faction. All right. Well, that was just solid. That was chef's kiss. Chef's kiss amazing. Noxbringer really showing that it is extremely strong. Alberic showing that he is a pansy when he's getting tag teamed. The guy gets absolutely wrecked when surrounded. He doesn't have the melee stats. And yeah, infantry builds hate the Noxbringer. Especially in a big map like that. I thought he was going to go more cav heavy. As you can see, Noxbringer did really well. Lord did really well. The Pestigor slow crushed it. I didn't even need the Chosen. I won without using the Chosen. They were just sitting in the trees the whole time. I actually forgot about them. Whoopsies. GG. Very nice. Oops. Whoopsie daisies. Sent the wrong channel. My bad. Uh-huh. All right. Did you 4x speed the battle? That was a 13-minute battle. Some people are not even done army building by then. Pretty good, though. I think you both thought each other would go more cav. Is that Bretonnia build good versus cav, though? I guess it's not bad, having a lot of archers. But the Foot Squires kind of implies he's looking for more of an infantry fight. If he was really worried about cav, I feel like halberds would be way better. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. I should put up an announcement. Also, dang, I don't know if we're getting enough players today. I think we only have like, what, 7? Let me see. Live leaderboard. Yeah, I only have 6 people. Unfortunate. You can still get some good matches, though. But yeah, I feel like we really do need a new player league. Just have a proper Anticity league. 2 months. You know, every 2 months we have a grand finals with a bit of a prize pool. Have a balance update. I feel like that would be sick. Have some balance thingamajigs. Yeah, to spice up the meta a bit, make it not just a Slanesh fest. Why Spirit Leech over Rancid Visitations? think it's just a little just easier to use, I guess. It costs less. Rancid Visitations is really nice shock damage. I think Overcast, it's technically more efficient than Spirit Leech. Let me double check. Let's see, yeah, what, 2,000 damage? Is that right? 2,000 damage for 22 winds of magic. Spirit Leech is... Like, Spirit Leech is definitely better for the long con because of lower passive. It's also cheaper by like 50 gold, but that doesn't matter very much. Spirit Leech is 8 winds of magic for... what, 650 damage? If you get an extra tick. Yeah, it's fairly similar. Spirit Leech is better for the long con, because you can take life leeching. So if the battle goes very long, then Spirit Leech will eventually kill lords. I think Rancid Visitations, you might be able to out heal it. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe it would have been better. You can take this guy. He costs 850. Maybe. Sometimes you can spell resist it though. I'm not entirely sure. Rancid is the most damage per mana. Okay. Interesting. I guess maybe I should have gone for Rancid Visitations then. Especially if you're summoning in your caster. I guess that makes sense. Slaanesh somehow fell off the leaderboard. I think people just don't really know how to play Slaanesh, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people, when they play Slaanesh, they either go like super heavy Chaos Warrior, or they just spam Slongors, both of which have very hard counters. They don't go super hard on the cavalry either. Like, they're not going like Hellstrider Seeker shenanigans. They go like Sigvald or like a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, which have so little play compared to a Keeper of Secrets that has a Rampage. You know, you have Smoke and Mirrors. There's like some crazy plays you can do with the Exalt Keeper. And like, when you kind of make all these concessions to play kind of a more safe Slaanesh style, yeah, I don't know, they just feel a lot weaker. Or not even a safe Slaanesh style, just like you know, just overly focusing on one unit. Honestly, I think most people, like, I've seen Chosen do it really well. Chosen plays a mean Slaanesh where they take like Forsaken, they take the Fiends, and then they play super defensively around the Forsaken, capture points and outmaneuver you. You know, like Hellstriders and such. But like, a lot of people don't go this composition. I don't know why. A lot of tournaments also ban the Mask, which will make Slaanesh a little weaker too. A lot of tournaments will also restrict Slongors. So yeah, there's a few things that kind of make it awkward. Pleasure Seekers are way more expensive than Fiends. They kind of do the same thing. They do have some extra sustain, which is cool, but they get hard countered by Buna, which most people should be bringing versus Slaanesh. A lot of people also don't use Furies correctly. I don't know, man. But like, yeah, I do think Slaanesh is probably one of the harder factions to play, but you know, the moment you get into like a grand finals where everyone is fairly good with the micro, Slaanesh does become quite terrifying. But even there, they end up getting banned very often, or people specifically learn a counter pick to Slaanesh. This is what you see with super strong factions. People intentionally study how to defeat them. Just full tryhard Slaanesh one day and people will know how to play Slaanesh watching me. I think the micro, with how I play, there's a lot of ways you can accidentally trip and just face plant. face plant your army to death. Low mobility on Slaanesh. That's like Bretonnia without the cavalry. I don't know. Some people just really like going Chaos Warriors. I think Chaos Warriors is like, of all the factions, I think Chaos Warriors are almost never better than other options. Because like Forsaken are just, the Forsaken are actually like, actually 50% faster. More than 50% faster. You can dodge missiles with Forsaken if you're worried about missiles. So yeah, but like I think not everyone uses these guys to the maximum potential, and they kind of just want that safety. There's also a few weird things like some box builds can do really well against Slaanesh. So you gotta make sure you have demonettes and the like. Oh nice, next opponent, Big Bees. Yo yo. And what are you playing today, Big Bees? None. I'm getting counterpicked on Imperial Ambush. Okay. Not the worst situation. Nurgle. And what will they counterpick me with? I should be ready. We already got one fairly good ween. Minus 16. They're trying to play like End Curse. I will say, I've seen some people play overly safe with their Lord. I do wonder what's worse, playing too safe with your Lord or too aggressive. I think too aggressive is probably worse, but definitely if you're leaving big single entities just chilling and you're not making full use of them, that can set you very far back too. Many a battle has been ended with a Lord at way too much HP. You see people going Mantide for some reason with the Marauders. That was popular back when Mantide was a bit stronger. The Plague Toads. I gotta see what he's going for first. But yeah, I think as soon as I can find the time, I'll probably start an Anticity League and see if I can get new players coming in. Like, I kind of wonder. Maybe I start an Anticity League one Grand Cathay. You know, maybe when the DLC comes out, I'll make my own balance patch, man. Screw it. Like, usually CA takes too long. Look, if they put in a balance patch and it's all great, then that's fine, you know? My balance patch doesn't need to stick around for very long. Greenskins, Wood Elves, and Tomb Kings. I'll play versus Greenskins. Well, actually, wait. Isn't Nurgle pretty good versus Tomb Kings? On this map? It's pretty defensive, so the artillery will do well. I'll play versus Greenskins. But, yeah, where was I at? Yeah, I feel like an Anticity League, you know, and just do like minor balance stuff. Minor balance stuff, some price changes and so on. Because I feel like that could breathe some new life into the scene. And then I can cast some battles and the like. Post that on the second channel. I do plan to get more videos out, by the way. I actually have my editor working on that. Much exciting. I just need the time, though. I need the time and the energy. Okay, first things first, though. Battle of the Green. Who did it better? Pestigores are less useful versus Greenskins unless I see, like, Black Orcs. Now, you never know. Sometimes you're gonna see some Black Orcs. How do I feel about this build? Greenskins aren't too scary, right? Does anyone know if Plague Bearers are good versus Greenskins? Sure, they might have a lot of archers. Do I have archer disruption? I guess that's the important thing. I could bring a very archer resistant build against the greenies and just take a good fight. What do they have? They have extreme melee attack boosting stuff. Ooh, I could take this. This spell is very good versus Greenskins. Yeah. Okay, not bad, not bad. I kind of like where this is going. Single entities, sometimes they'll go pretty SE heavy, so you need a little bit of something there. I guess this guy's also good. Oh my goodness. There's actually a lot of different stuff that is fairly good versus Greenskins. I kind of want to take them all, but I can't. A little unfortunate. I wish the dogs were better here. Scurvy dogs are great. They can munch archers pretty hard, but normal dogs, I think they're just gonna rout. Yeah, you know what? I think I'd be crazy not to run this laddie. There we go. Okay, this build feels much better now. So, yeah, I think I have more or less everything I need versus the Greenskins. Furies are probably okay here. I just have to make sure I de-summon my dudes. I think I'm ready. Bile Trolls cook here. I'm like, would they just get shot up by the archers? I guess Nurgle does have actually pretty decent anti-archer tech. Or maybe I'll do something like this. Yes, it's a little bit of a strange build, but I like where it's going. It has a lot of tools. I don't think Greenskins can cheese this matchup. If we see a bunch of skirmishers, I think I'll be okay. What if we see a giant, though? I know the rogue giant can be quite terrifying at times. You play Warhammer Tabletop at all? I only played a very small amount when I was a kid, but the hobby was too expensive. When is the Ent Clan being made? That is even more time. It would be after I actually get into City League going. You need to lose harder video lives rent-free in my head for every strategy game. What was the... I actually forget that video. It sounds kind of familiar. But what was the strat? What was I trying to teach there? Is it more about skewing and like actually finding the win condition? But maybe you lose your main matches, you know, you might lose some matches harder, but at least you'll win more matches overall. Is that it? What would the Ent Clan even do if we already have the Discord? You know, I imagine it as, you know, maybe it's even on my Discord, but it's a group of people who, I guess, identify with the teachings and play styles that I like to show off. I feel like an Ent Clan, you know, if I had infinite time, I would be like teaching people how to play my specific play style. And that's kind of the unifying factor. Ready, good luck, have fun. Here's a build, by the way. I got the Noxbringer, we got a Lord, same guy as usual. This guy's just really good as a fighter. Purple Sun, Spirit Leech. I'm mostly going to be using Purple Sun on archers. Spirit Leech is just here to finish off lords. In the reserves, lots of infantry. Rotting Riders to clear out Greenskins late game. Some Furies to maybe chase down some archers. Bile Trolls because Dangler said they're okay. And Angels of Decay for anything big and monstrous. Overall, I think this is a pretty good build. I could take some Nurglings over here. I think I will. But what does my opponent have? Is it going to be Fanatics or something? Don't lose quietly, just keep making plays until it's over. I see. Yeah, like taking bigger and bigger risks as you fall more and more behind. Alright, so where are we at? There's a lot of units here. I think we're just gonna park the Noxbringer. And it's just gonna take a raw pot shot here. At something. I don't know why he's not shooting, man. That was a hella long target acquisition. But this should be harder to dodge because there's no giant arrow saying that I'm targeting stuff. Unfortunately, the damage was not extraordinarily high. But I think we're doing okay for ourselves. I can play for this point. This is a very infantry-heavy Greenskins. It's actually quite significantly infantry-heavy. With a lot of archers, interestingly enough. Now, my build is designed to be quite archer-resistant. We have the Noxbringer, and we have a lot of shields. So if I can use that effectively, I'm happy. I don't think he can push this point. And the Nurglings for the cavalry will be quite happy, I imagine. Do have to be a little careful about these guys. Is that a fake charge? Is that a real charge? That's a real charge. You're insane. That's 1,000,000 reflected damage on those savage orcs. That's pretty rough, bro. You don't want to have that happen. I don't want to summon in the Bile Trolls just yet. They run the risk of being murdered. So I'm going to go for Forsaken instead. Infantry en masse can do quite well versus archers. So we're going to do that. I also have Chosen. I know y'all's enjoy some Chosen action. We're definitely going to be cooking with them. A couple pump wagons have arrived. That's a little annoying. I did not prepare for that, actually. But what I think we can do is just, yeah, get on this point. You can see how devastating these guys are if you are unprepared. And that's going to hurt. Now, I do still have some wicked spell casting over here to maybe recoup some value. You know, I don't need to take this fight. This core is doing well enough. Yeah, and he's gonna take the fight. The archers are on the move, which is actually pretty bad because it means that they'll take longer to shoot. Purple Sun over here is nice. And I have a big old force over here ready to get a flanking on. Purple Sun's gonna get a lot of work done, that's for sure. And then I'm just gonna keep spamming infantry. Because what is a Greenskin supposed to do against this many dudes? I think it'll be quite difficult. Archers are wasting some of their shots on that guy too. And I can use the Noxbringer as kind of a tool to rout off the boys. Lord over here is doing pretty well. And Noxbringer needs to like get charges in and shoot at the same time. See how it charges these guys, gets a shot on them. This is maximum disruption. Those are black orcs I gotta be worried about. Damage reflect going well though. Noxbringer's doing pretty well. Let's get another point blank shot over here. And then if I can break this formation, we're set. It's a little sketchy. I have a lot of infantry I gotta bring in here. That's gonna take a long time to get a lot of work done. They got the WOG going. Thankfully, these guys did rout though. I do have another Purple Sun too. Ooh, he charged my Furies though. That's a little painful. I think I'll Purple Sun these archers, probably. Value trading is going out of my favor now, by the way, which is a little unfortunate. It's not the end of the world though. He did capture the middle point, however. And that's going to be a little rough, actually. Now, yes, I may be able to get some big routes here. But I run the risk of cavalry cleaning me up. I probably want the Rotting Riders. I'm going to slow these guys down. That did not help. Oh my gosh, the anti-infantry here is immense. And it is actually causing me a lot of issues. That one Black Orc unit, too, is actually going to be a bit of a menace. I think we're probably going to lose this one. Because I don't have the capture point and we are not up trading. We'll see, though. I'm going to do my best. But this is certainly not a very pretty situation. Some big routes, though. Bile Trolls have arrived. They're going to kill off the pump wagons. Having just that little bit of mass will get me a lot of work done. Noxbringer is still alive, too, mind you. I think if there's one glimmer of hope, it is that. Noxbringer is kind of perfect for this situation. Okay, I'm going to slowly capture this point. That's good. Nurglings have routed off that side, too. It's not entirely impossible, especially with the Noxbringer being so threatening here. Maybe that shot can get a lot of damage in. We will see. Bile Trolls should be pretty decent, too. And if I can afford to get the big boys in. If I can afford to get the real big boys in, that would be great. Slow them down. Yeah, I feel like a unit of Rotting Riders could do really well here. It's kind of questionable, though. There's a lot of Orc Boar Boys. There's a lot of Orc Boar Boys. I think I spec too much into infantry, and the mass of the pump wagons is going to be the end of me. Value trading is still falling more and more behind, too. But I should be able to maybe rout off these guys. I really need this caster to live, though. Unfortunately, he routs. But I do have a little pocket here with the Noxbringer, and most of the archers are dead. Unfortunately, my Rotting Riders are going to be so slow. But, yeah, I'm going to get a little bit of damage here. I can probably get some damage reflect soon, too. So maybe. I'm going to give it a hard maybe that the Rotting Riders manage to pull things back. We'll see. This little pocket has to hold, though. At least until I can get this damage reflect going. That's going to be quite nice. Come on, Rotting Riders, you're needed. The Rotting Rider cleanup crew. There they are. They have arrived. And the hope is that the Greenskin forces are so beleaguered that we're able to just crush it. Damage reflect is pretty good. Rotting Riders are coming in hot. This is a pretty decent little engagement. Bile Trolls are doing well. Very nice. I gotta save my Lord, though. He's getting beat up pretty hard. But if I get my caster back, now we're talking. It looks like he will be able to live. Rotting Riders versus Night Goblins now. Their charges are insane. I'll give him that. Caster comes back. Huge. Maybe I have a chance. I'll take a smidge of a chance. How's my Lord doing? Pretty good. We get the capture point too. Oh my gosh. Yo, this Rotting Rider play is actually completely and utterly crushing the Greenskins. They are not happy about that in the slightest. Now there are archers back online and operational. We're going to need to drop a purple sun on these guys because they're buffed up. We do not want them cleaning me up here. We don't have many units to summon either, so I gotta be a little careful. But the purple sun definitely cooks hard. Definitely cooks super hard. We killed off a whole unit of cavalry there. Those guys aren't gonna capture that point anytime soon, so we're okay. Gonna slow these guys down. It means I don't get a heal, but I think we can live without it. Melee attack buff working pretty well. How are the Furies doing? Pretty good. This might actually be winnable. I can't believe it. It's gonna be a little bit of a tough fight. But yeah, Caster's still alive. And he'll definitely be able to get some good work done. Big archer route too. Massive terror route. Thanks to the Noxbringer. So now I can use this guy to bog these dudes down. Very good. And that's going to stop their retreat as we collapse in onto them. And I think I'm going to get the Angels of Decay next, as they are a very high impact unit. Yeesh. All right, here come the Angels. Gonna need to desummon a Forsaken unit. Those Furies are doing real good, I must say. Oh man, look at those guys getting absolutely wrecked. Purple Sun here can get a lot of work done too, just to clear off those boys. That's gonna hurt a lot. Rotting Riders is still alive. Okay, I just need to stop him from capturing that point actually. Yeah, yo, you weren't kidding. The Bile Trolls absolutely cooked. Bile Trolls were so much of a menace. Look at that. The Furies are just chasing down the Savage Orcs. I might even be able to kill his Lord soon if I'm lucky. He's gonna buff up some trolls over there though. Gotta be careful. We're gonna sub out for the Nurglings and use our damage reflect to just annihilate them. It's gonna be a little late, or maybe just on time. That damage reflect is gonna hurt pretty bad. And now I'm finally getting my units back, thank goodness. Actually desummoning units, as a true Nurgle player should. Swamp Things are getting massacred pretty hard. You love to see it. The archers are doing their best to kill the Rotting Riders, but it doesn't look like they'll be able to do it. And we now have a ticket lead. I am out of magic, but that is okay. I can use it to get a little bit of work done. Missile spell's just gonna do a little bit of deeps. Nothing too bad. I need to just retreat to my boys over here, to my flyers, and then get a 6 around on these guys. Now, I'd love to kill the Swamp Things, but I don't think they're gonna die. Oh, this is great though. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just start spamming Forsaken. There's not that many units here. Unfortunately, the Angels don't get that much work done, so this is still a little sketchy. We're gonna have more dudes over here. I really need to get these guys routed off. And my opponent does secure a point. Now, if I can chase off the Swamp Things, we're golden. But this is actually far from over. I need the Swamp Things, even if they do rally, that they come back so slowly that I'll be okay. I'm gonna hold this point in case a stealth unit tries to steal it. Lord is just on Operation Stall. But I have 2 units of infantry over here. And if he can just keep the Swamp Things running, we're good. This is gonna maximize the value of my Lord. They do rally though, just from their raw regeneration. So now it's time for my Lord to run. But I got the point. A very close battle, actually. As long as this point doesn't get stolen, I think I'm happy. There's actually not a lot of capture weight overall here. Now, who am I spirit leeching, though? We'll see. My trolls are definitely a little exposed. They're going to have to retreat. I'm going to slow these guys to try and buy some time. And then we're going to bring in some dudes here. Man, what a battle, though. Him killing my Rotting Riders is a little rough, but it's not the end of the world. We're still doing okay. I think I'm just gonna Spirit Leech these Orc Savage boys. I'm not gonna kill his Lord. Oh my gosh, they rallied. Heroes. Absolute heroes, these guys. Very nice. Swamp Things are back, but that's okay. We have enough capture weight over here. And the far side's looking pretty good. I think we might be able to do it. Hide in the trolls. Ooh, Lord gets hit. Pretty nasty one at that too. But I think he's barely gonna live. No, he gets terrorized by the Swamp Thing. It's not the end of the world though. As we do manage to hold over here. I think I just need a little bit more oomph to win this. So our unit of Furies should be able to get the job done. As you can see, we've maximized the value that my Lord can get. And now I just have to hold this point. Spamming infantry will be more than enough. Looks like the Noxbringer is doing great. And despite apparently being down on value, it appears we gonna get it done. Even without a good pump wagon counter. I really did not do a good job on that, but we were able to get in our real heavy hitters. The Rotting Riders and the like. And with a few sick plays, we were able to rout off all of the enemy forces. You'll love to see it. Oh man, kind of a nail biter though. Kind of a nail biter. But yeah, Angels of Decay, all these like big elite guys. Sometimes I forget that Greenskins really don't have a lot of great anti-large options outside of their cavalry. No, not the Lord! Oh, and he dies. The last Hail Mary for my opponent. It's gonna be a little scary, but we win. GG. That's how you know we got maximum value on the Lord. Very solid indeed. That's gonna be our second win of the day. The Chosen did pretty good, especially considering I did not have a lot of infantry support. Noxbringer was amazing. Caster was only okay. 1,100 for Purple Suns is... It's not super great, but it did mitigate the damage of the Rugloods, which is very important. I did a good job shutting down the archers. Black Orcs were a menace, though. They did not get countered. I think that one Purple Sun that deleted the Cav unit was probably the best one. Did a good job mitigating Swamp Things. 8-peak Loonies I don't think was a very good call for my opponent. And the Skirmishers also didn't do that much. Except for these ones. These ones are amazing. How did this... Yeah, Bile Trolls are great. Paid for themselves. Rotting Riders were freaking amazing. That's 3,000 value on them. Angels Decay were kind of awkward, but still not bad. Dude, 3,000 value on the Rotting Riders, though. They just deleted everything. They mega crumped. Yeah, Lord Dead is so on brand at the very end there. Look at this Goblin. They only got 2 value. 2 gold value. Furies were okay. They were nice to kind of like... When the battle was at its peak, having all my resources together at once was definitely a plus. Dude, 3,000 value on Rotting Riders is insane, though. I think they single-handedly pulled me back into the game. On top of being a terror-causing unit. Huge. Yeah, I used 2 Purple Suns to do, like, half health on Rugloods. It was not as good as I thought it would be. There was a little bit of dodging going on, but... Yeah, not the craziest spell. It's not super expensive. 18 is, like... It's at the bottom end of expensive. The thing is, though, like, what else would I be running? A Blight Boil? Just to, like, run him around. I could try Spirit Leeching as Lord. Honestly, I might have been better off using Doom and Darkness strats. Doom and Darkness with the Noxbringer and big routes sounds like it would actually be quite good. I could also go double Soul Grinder and just blast the archers into oblivion. You come into an Anticity Nurgle stream and the first thing you see is 3k value Rotting Riders. Yeah, man. Today's gonna be a good day. I get better with Nurgle day by day. There's a few players that I face that kind of show how strong Nurgle can be. They obviously are not the strongest faction, but at least I know their strengths and weaknesses. Can you do a blob around Herald of Nurgle using his heal? His locus of, what was it? Fecundity? Yeah, locus of fecundity. It's, you know, if Nurgle was like Slanesh speed and you can actually disengage and blob up, it'd be good. But blobbing will mitigate any value, any extra value you get off of the heal. Because, like, think about the downsides you have from blobbing. You're going to be surrounded when you're shot at. You can't dodge, so you're taking maximum damage from shooting. Spells will do more damage. Is it really worth having an army-wide heal when you're taking twice as much damage? Now, if you were like Bretonnia and you had some crazy cavalry to cycle charge, then you regroup and get a huge heal. That would be sick. I think honestly Nurgle is a small Chaos Knight upgrade away from being better. But right now, not really. Daniken wrecked you with triple bile trolls? Hell yeah. Yeah, they seem kind of hard to kill after the archers are shut down. You do have to shut down the archers, but I guess Greenskins don't have a great way of flanking these guys. So they do pretty well. They also reduce the melee defense by a lot. Greenskins don't have a lot of melee defense. So you're already going to be hitting for crazy amounts of damage. This is the tipping point you need to get them to actually rout. Beast of Nurgle maxing. I've tried it. It's not as good as one might expect, unfortunately. You know, maybe when the update comes out, maybe that's when I do Anticity League. Instead of doing it before the update. That might be the best usage of my time. So like the update will come out. Usually it takes about 2 days for people to recognize that it takes about 2 days for people to recognize the most OP units. And then I can put some price adjustments on them. A Pope Patty is next. On Creeping Swamp. Sorry, I think it's like allergy season. But yeah, Beast of Nurgle maxing. It's not good. I would love to find a situation where it works, but they just do no damage. It costs 800 gold per. So this is Nurgle versus Bretonnia again. Creeping Swamp is a fairly closed map. Last time the Noxbringer was really good. But yeah, how do I want to face Bretonnia? Bretonnia. I could try that Rancid Visitations caster. And just try to nuke Alberic. Chosen maxing. Chosen are actually pretty difficult for Bretonnia to clear. I think this was the build I had last time. Honestly, the build I had last time was not a bad build. This map is a bit too big for Chaos Warriors, by the way. I think I'll probably end up passing on them. I'm gonna need some way to deal with archers, yeah. I'm gonna need some way to deal with kiting. And then I just need enough mass and anti-large to just sit on the point. I do have to be very careful though. So if I can kill all the archers, does this work? If I can kill off all the archers, is this a good idea? If I just have like a pure archer killing build and then I run... Oh no. I don't know if this is a terrible idea. We'll see. We will see. What else is good versus Bretonnia? Some more anti-large options. Frolickers, bubonic are probably not the worst. They're also demon units, so they'll just crumble, which is pretty nice. And do I need more infantry though? When playing versus Bretonnia and just trying to stall, I do find myself wanting infantry. Do I want Chosen or do I want Plague Ogre Great Weapons? I'm honestly not that impressed by Plague Ogre Great Weapons. I feel like they need a lot of support to get the job done. Is there anything better I can get here? Like Forsaken are okay. Like Pestigores. I feel like I do not have good options. Plague Toads just seem terrible. What's their leadership? 55. Effectively nothing. Does anyone know if Worshippers of the Crow are good? 100 mass. Pretty garbage. You think Pope Patty's gonna trebuchet me? Chosen our trebuchet food? This map has trees. It has some pretty solid trees to keep my dudes alive. So I'm not super duper worried. I'll be wary, but I don't think I need to panic. This is an okay build. I just feel like it's missing that little extra oomph though. It really feels like it's missing just something. Maybe I can go old school and do this. This is very old school, but I kind of want to see how it goes. Marauder Great Weapon maxing has to cook. Threat overload. Marauders, I don't know, they get murdered by cavalry pretty hard if your opponent's good enough. It feels like just a basic skill check. But we're in a cavalry meta, man. They clear infantry so hard. Maybe before, when cavalry were not so impactful. That's a pun. But yeah, maybe then it would have been better. Exalted Plague Bearers. Oh, Exalted Plague Bearers wouldn't have been the worst. Maybe I should have taken them. Tryharding with Empire to get the glorious war wagons. Now that sounds exciting. Doesn't that sound exciting? But alright, here's the build. Got the Noxbringer. Got a whack load of infantry. Ready, good luck, have fun. The guy has no units. We're gonna see 5 units. Is gonna be the Green Knight, Feinchantress, and Grail Guardian spam. This is good for me because I have a Rancid Visitations caster. They naturally hard counter the Green Knight. And the big thing to do when you find yourself in this situation, don't overextend. This is not a build that has a lot of capture weight. In the late game, you'll be fine. That's a fairly nice dodge. But yeah, you'll be totally fine in the late game. There's no need to go crazy. Is that Noxbringer shotgun to land? A little bit of damage. Honestly, when it comes to Grail Guardians, a little bit of damage goes a long way. Gonna drop a heal, whiffs it. Took a little bit of a volley there, but we're still doing okay. And then I'm just gonna slow push once I have my Chosen here. But yeah, there's really no need to get too aggressive here. We can just sit back and relax. This build, it preys on people who get a little overzealous. So just don't get overzealous. Noxbringer at point blank is very hard to dodge. Though it did just straight up miss there. A little unfortunate. We're doing alright though. My skirmishers are doing better than his skirmishers. And I will be able to Rancid Visitations for the Green Knight very soon. Very nice. Let's fall back over here. I think another one of these will be good. Gotta think about what I want to summon though. A giant would unironically be kind of sick here. Gonna get that damage reflect going just to force a disengage maybe. Noxbringer's just gonna cook over here. And he does commit into the fight. A good time to overcast Rancid, the Green Knight. Whoops. Got my skirms caught up. A little unfortunate. I can do a bit of a runaway though, we'll be okay. Noxbringer is still alive. The Rancid visitations, it does hurt. Those are mounted yeomen. They're actually not very scary. And they're gonna die. Noxbringer, I'm gonna try and get a sick hit here. I will say the Grail Guardians, they do grind pretty hard. That's a pretty good Noxbringer shot. And I might even be able to kill his Lord if I'm lucky. Furies could be an interesting solution too to these yeomen over here. But the goal is to just kill off this guy. Gonna dodge that comet. Rancid visitations, getting a little bit of damage in. We might actually be able to kill the Fey Enchantress though if he's not careful. She's kind of getting bullied actually. Yeomen are suffering pretty hard. Good to see. And I think if he just loses the Fey Enchantress, he just loses. That would be very bad. That's just a yeoman. The reliance on yeomen here, I think, may be his downfall. So now the Fey Enchantress is looking pretty sus. Just gonna run away over here, pull these guys in. Just gotta keep the Fey Enchantress running. That's a fairly simple task. Just gotta keep the horsemen chasing her. Yeomen should die. We have damage reflect over here. And I don't think she's gonna make it out. Deciding to run the incorrect direction. Very unfortunate. Noxbringer's doing pretty good. And we're just gonna finish the job over there. So this is pretty bad. Everybody's slow here. Everybody's dying. I got my Chosen in the fight, which is glorious. We're gonna de-summon these guys for safety. And I could summon in the Giant if I really wanted to. I don't think we need to though. Is the Green Knight still alive? He is. At pretty decent health too. So I'm gonna save on the Rancid visitations there. Look at that slow though. From the Pestigores. Trebuchet has arrived though. Gotta be a little careful. But Trebuchet's a little too late at this point though, right? Fey Enchantress is gone too. I think this battle is won. Unfortunately though, he did manage to catch my Lord though, which is a little embarrassing. But I guess we can't be perfect. That's kind of an oopsie. So am I really gonna lose my Lord like in almost all of these games? I'm gonna see if I can save him. No, he dead. He just dead. It's okay. It's okay. The Green Knight is a little spicy. It's fine. I'll get vengeance. Vengeance for my poor Lord. There's no Fey Enchantress resummoned. That's good. Green Knight does heal in the trees, by the way. But this Overcast Rancid visitation should get the job done. Let's check in over here. Just a couple knights, not a big deal. I think we just straight up summon the Giant, man. Here we go, Thunderguff. What can the Green Knight even do against such viciousness? Oh my gosh, Green Knight's kind of cooking. Now he's gonna die to that Rancid. I don't think he has any healing to save him. But yeah, Giant, screw you, Giant. Giant will be great. Green Knight is dead. We have secured vengeance for my dead Lord. And there's nothing you can do against this thing. It's actually just too chunky. Knights of the Realm, Knights of the Realm. Very nice. Pretty good. Not too bad overall. Grail Guardians were not the end of the world. And he can't flank me here. It's a little too dangerous. All the Grail Guardians are dead. And when will I resummon my Lord? That's the real question. Holy Pegasus. Run, Furies. Run. Land. Gonna land to get past the Pegasus. He just spent his money on the Pegasus. So surely they won't be able to get too much Yeah, surely you won't be able to get too much cavalry in here, right? Just a mounted yeoman. Pretty chill for me. Look at that giant, he's coming in. Giant's coming in hot. Will the Furies be able to kill the Trebuchet in time, though? Honestly, I kind of doubt it. I'm saving up for my Lord now, by the way. And okay, yeah. Honestly, sending Furies on artillery pieces always feels pretty bad. I've never been particularly happy with it. That's a really good slow, by the way. Gonna save my Pestigors from what would have been a pretty terrifying charge. But obviously, killing the Fey Enchantress so early is just gonna be a nice advantage for us. That charge is a little better, but if I can stop them, we still win this. How's the artillery piece doing? Not too crazy. How the Pestigor is doing, though? Well, I have a giant coming in. He's coming in to support. Artillery piece will go down. Oh, yeah, he doesn't even have enough capture weight. It's going to take him like a whole minute to get this point. That is simply too long. And the giant has now seen combat. He already has 9 kills. Hell yeah. Not too bad. Some mounted yeomen show up, but they ain't too scary. And as long as I keep fighting on top of this giant, we're okay. We're gonna use its fart ability. That does no armor piercing damage. Rip. I don't know how I feel about this giant. I don't know if he's that good. He's not terrible. But is he great in this circumstance? Probably not. Probably not. He certainly does not feel amazing. Hey, he'll be able to hold the point though, at least. Let's just start summoning infantry here. I can stall this point pretty easily. I only need 1 unit of infantry. Oh, that's just mounted yeoman. That's not even scary, Cav. Hell yeah. Alright, giant cook. Look at him go. He's murdering them. He has 200 value. That's like basically nothing. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the giant. This map is maybe if it was a map where it's just like the 1 point. Maybe you can kill the Green Knight. Maybe you can kill the Green Knight. Who knows? I have to be careful not going too wide here, by the way. Oh, Green Knight v Giant. Now we're talking. Will that be enough? If he beats the Green Knight, the Giant is a Chad. We can all agree on that. He's actually dueling fairly well, though he is still taking pretty big damage. I'll save the Rancid Visitations for later when we can secure the kill. Or you know what? I'll just chuck it out now. So you can see the downside of Rancid Visitations. I don't have, in a longer game like this, I don't have the magic. Get him, Giant. Beat him up. He's doing his best. He just needs a couple big hits. Physical resist on the Green Knight's doing well. He has 700 gold worth of value, though. That's pretty decent. Come on. Oh, we can do the whirlwind on the Pegasus Knights. Yeah, that did some damage. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, the Giant's pretty bad. The Giant is he's thoroughly not impressed me. But a win's a win. GG, well played. I'll take it. That was okay. Honestly, winning with Nurgle is just nice. Classic Paddy build, I know, right? But yeah, Noxbringer got 2,700. That's insane. Horsemen got 1,000,000 value. Oh, against Alexander again. Chosen were pretty hyped. 1,600. Just living and giving a lot of AP damage. Yeah, the Axe Throwers are... So the reason you take the Axe Throwers is because of builds like this. If you don't have Axe Throwers, that can be a little sus. If he didn't lose the Fey Enchantress, I wonder how that would have played out, though. Trebuchet was not that worth at the end of the day. If he played more defensively, though, and summoned it in first, I think he would have been better off. as I didn't have a trebuchet counter. And this guy was for archers, by the way. But yeah, cavalry really do wreck infantry. You have to be really careful. Grail Guardians did not cook, though. They did very bad. Alright, up against Alexander again. And it's Bretonnia again. Alright. How many times must I beat up the Bretonnians? We're gonna face every single Bretonnia build on every single map. This one's Norskin Rise, another very big map. If Alexander goes mass infantry, I would be a little worried for him. How broken are axe horses? They're not that amazing generally, but they're very good in specific matchups. So yeah, they have 6 normal damage, 21 armor piercing. Tallyman calls, not on a big map. But yeah, the horsemen do insane armor piercing. So if it's a large armored unit, they can get a lot of value. There's also just necessity. Nurgle can't take normal horsemen or horse masters. So you're kind of just working with what you got. But absolutely, they can be pretty good. Rot Knights and Plague Bearers. Plague Bearers, what's their mass? 150. But the lack of armor makes them weak to, like, all Bretonnian cavalry. Yeah, Pestigores are weird. They're good and bad versus cavalry. If a unit routs, they have that amazing 75% slow. But if nothing routs, it's kind of sitting awkwardly. I don't know about rotting riders either. When you go for the mobility, you can get overwhelmed pretty hard. I definitely am not taking another Chaos Giant. That was a little too much of a meme for me. But one thing we can do on a map this big, we could play for capture points. Bretonia's a mobile faction. But like, if it's just yeomen alone without support, I think we can maybe steal some points. What are some units that are really good at stealing points? I have Nurglings, I have some Pestigores. Pestigores are actually pretty good for point steals in the late game. This map is huge, so I have to play to the map. Just general word of advice, play to the map. Do I want the Cultists of Nurgle? I don't know how I feel about the Cultists of Nurgle. He has to be in combat for a whole minute before he can get a summon off. Forsaken for the steals. Forsaken are pretty hard to get off the point. I do already have a lot of them. Tammy time. Tamarcon is pretty hype. You can replace the Chaos Lord of Nurgle with Tamarcon. And you effectively have a very similar lord. Alright, they're both just very fighty lords. Tamarcon just has a slightly different kit. Chaos Lord of Nurgle is just a little faster though, so I kind of like him. But he is a little more susceptible to getting Lord sniped. On a map that's this big, Chaos Lord is probably slightly better. Can I go wrong with Tamarcon though? How expensive is he? Tamarcon is slightly more expensive. He does have some cool abilities though. This is kind of a cool ability. Yeah, the price-wise is actually fairly similar. You lose the damage reflect, but you get a pretty solid anti-large fighter that is actually basically unkillable as far as Bretonnia is concerned. Looks like Alexander is ready though. Very interesting. How do I want to finish out this build? Do I have any mobile units that can actually fight cavalry? I guess a Plague Ogre. That is such a large commitment, though. Do Forsaken trade into Knights Errant? I don't think so. I could spam Marauder Great Weapons, though. That's just a late game point holder. If you don't get the perfect charges on them, they will get a lot of work in. So let's try that. Rot Knights. Rot Knights? 2,200 gold to capture a flank point is a little extreme. It is true, though, they can shove cavalry away, but Bretonnia is the more mobile faction in the way. I need, like, expendable capture weight. Nurglings would be okay, but they also die. So I've actually opted for the dogs. We got the dogs. So I'm going to play extremely safe. We're going to hide most of my forces here. Though I will put 2 Pestigors on the far side. If he's not ready for it, those Pestigors will just get a lot of work in. Gonna capture the middle point with the horsemen. And I think we already are feeling pretty good about this one. Very similar build to before. Except this time I have Tamarkon instead of the Chaos Lord. We're gonna see how he does. He hits pretty hard, but his speed is base 55, so he's a little slower. If he gets low on HP, he does 1,000,000 damage to something like the Green Knight or Alberic. He also has a leadership reduction aura, which could be pretty hype if we see a lot of infantry. So we got options. I got a Rancid Visitations caster too. And we're going to see indeed, there's going to be a couple of Yeomen. I just want to hide my Pestigors until they leave the point. Then I'll be fairly comfortable. More Yeomen over here. There's Alberic. Nothing too crazy. Now, how good is this dodging? I'm telegraphing the Noxbringer over there, but what if I turn it real quick and then go take a pot shot here? I'm gonna get a little bit of chip damage. I'm happy with that. Gotta be a little careful with the Yeoman. Misdodged that. I actually dodged into the volley, which is gonna hurt a bit. Alberic decides to go for the fight. And that is fine by me. But the skirmishing's going a little worse for me than last time. Even though there are only 2 Yeomen. Noxbringer is a little bit caught out. This is not the end of the world, though. Noxbringer is actually quite extremely high statted. And we got Tammy over here. Tamarkon's definitely going to be able to cause a lot of pain. Noxbringer, even surrounded by cavalry, is kind of thumping Alberic too. Love to see that. Interesting that he flies up so quickly, though. Huh. Good to know. Well, at least we have our first capture point. These Yeomen have not moved yet. I don't know if my opponent suspects something. So we'll have to be a little careful. But I do have the first capture point. And the Noxbringer is going to hurt these Yeomen. Reminding them that he does have Yeomen over here. That's I very much want to believe. Does this lady have any spell resist? No. So, yeah, I'll save the spell casting for later. It does take a long time to get that spell casting going. And then we're just going to immediately steal this point. And then play a little bit more cagey because I want to make sure that we a value trade. This map is so massive. I think this is a good time to go for more horsemen too. They're just pretty solid in general. Let's see, there's a little bit of a pull over here to try and consolidate his skirmishers, but that's going to lead to a pretty nice Noxbringer shot onto a lot of that mobility. And now he's in an awkward position because I'm stealing this back point. He doesn't have anything to really go and defend that either. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I just have to make sure I don't get caught out in the big wide open area here. There is actually not really that big of a rush. I really need to focus on value trading right now. Can I get a hit on Alberic maybe? If I'm lucky. There's the capture point. Hell yeah. But you gotta remember, I don't have my chosen here. Axe Thors are having a bit of a hard time actually landing a hit on Alberic because he's just that fast. But it ain't too bad. Noxbringer shot should be pretty decent. We'll see how much damage I can get in. Hopefully it's a nice big hit. Fairly juicy. And okay, now we're going to see the mobility come in. So that's a bunch of flyers, actually. And a Grail Knight. Wowza. Well, that's a fairly distant Grail Knight. I could try to contest this area. I'm definitely going to hide in the trees back over there. There's no need to let these pestigores die. They're actually just going to straight up run. And then I'm going to save them by putting pressure on the middle point. If he does go for the pestigores, it'll take so long. So extremely long to get there. That I'm just going to capture this point. And that would be very bad for my opponent. Now what's he going to do? He's going to waste time trying to re-secure this point. He can't steal this one. I have a hidden unit of Chosen there. Now, that's not the greatest usage of Chosen, but it will keep them relatively safe, and they do have good capture weight. He doesn't capture the point. He just wants to kill the pestigores. Kind of interesting to see. So we're just going to brace over here. Just have them, yeah, just have them fight. It's okay. We got some Nurglings over here to support. They're braced in the trees. What's not to love? And as you can see here, the Chosen are gonna be a menace. Gonna get a pretty good Alberic ability here, though. Should have dodged that. That's a big amount of damage to those pestigores. And actually quite a bit of value, too, for my opponent. A little unfortunate, but he's made the misplay of trying to fight the Chosen, which is pretty good for me. But I'm gonna lose about 1,000 gold here, maybe even 1,500. That is a little unfortunate. If I can kill the yeomen, though, at least yeah, if I can kill the yeomen, that'll simplify things a little bit. Point should be secureable. Okay, he's gonna sit. He's gonna stand his ground. That's good for me. As we are pooling into this situation now. Yeomen are kind of the main capture weight of the Bretonnians, so to be able to catch them out here is perfect. And there's just a unit of infantry there, not too much. Though he does manage to rout off 2 of my guys. A little unfortunate. Routed them off with Yeoman and the Grail Relique. Oh, but the Noxbringer gets a money shot over there. That's pretty big. Very nice. Can I defend the middle point, though? Unfortunately for me, we have lost many of our dudes. But I can definitely start bullying Alberic. This fight is not good for my opponent, and I don't think he'll be able to take this point. I'll definitely be able to defend the middle, given enough time. And Alberic, he does manage to escape, but he might be leaving his caster over here. And if she dies, that would actually be quite painful of a loss for Alexander. We're going to body block her with my caster. Make sure that there is indeed no escape. And then I need to get ready for these charges here. So we have a lot of cavalry coming in. Got to be a little wary of that. If we just hard brace, though, I'll be okay. We did defend the high ground. Caster is actually... Oh, no, she's routing. That's good. So I can start moving with my infantry over here to the middle then, as I escort her off with my own caster. That's not bad, actually. In fact, I even slowed Alberic. A little awkward. As now I can get a pretty sick spell cast on him. So she's just straight up gone. I still have the capture points. These Chosen are never going to die. And if I get all my guys onto this point, I think that would definitely give them a pretty tough time. I just need to make sure I have enough guys over here. It seems like he really wants to kill off this core of units. So we're going to play a little cagey with them. Just super defensive. He's going to summon in some archers. That's pretty good for me. Alright, here we go. There's a big fight. But can he stop the tide of dudes? If I kind of just bring in too many threats here, this could be bad. As his units are now kind of stuck in this mosh pit situation. Foot squires are a little slow. They won't be able to get much done. And this is certainly a lot of anti-large. Forsaken are just good in general. I think we might end up trading casters. That's not the end of the world, though. I'd rather his caster be dead and I distract the unit of Royal Pegasus Knights for a little bit than both of our casters be alive, because there's a lot you can get done with the healing. But yeah, this is good for me. Unit of Forsaken managed to get the work done. And this guy, if he can escape, that would be perfect. Now, there are a lot of archers here at his disposal. But he is triple capped. And Bretonnia does not have a lot of time. These Royal Pegasus Knights will be able to kill my caster. He's just gonna get that Hail Mary. Whoops. He's gonna get that little Hail Mary spell cast there. Just to get the deeps on before he dies. I don't intend on resummoning my caster. We are almost at the point where we win on a 1 cap. I think at this point we basically win on a 1 cap, which means this Chosen here will probably be able to win it for me. And this is just a little too painful for the Bretonnians, right? They're just a little too spread out. Oh, and the Pestigore slow. Brutal. So goodbye all mobility on that front. That's going to be very painful. And yeah, the forces of Nurgle once again showing that they are an absolute menace. The amount of stalling power we have here is insane. Look at these Forsaken too. They're faster than the Foot Squires. This is why I don't like Chaos Warriors, because you can do so much more fun things with these guys. And it looks like it's going to be a big play for this point. And that is okay with me, because I can bully the archers. Get the archers bullied. These guys are simply sacrificial at this point. They're obviously gonna die, but not before they are able to hold out for an extraordinarily long amount of time. It's interesting to see the Grail Relics as capture weight, by the way. Don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's okay, but in this case they were a little undefended. This Chosen was just 1,450 for 7 capture weight on this point. I don't know if they were actually worth it. It's definitely annoying though. What I could do too, I could summon the caster. Oh, but I don't have Rancid Visitations anymore. I used it on Pegasus Knights. Kind of a whoopsie daisies on my end. Can I stop these guys from desummoning? Yeah, hell yeah. I don't know if that does anything for me, but it feels good. Very nice. Ooh, and I got a heal. That's a good time to blob up then. You know, I'll just heal these guys. I don't think he's going to kill the Noxbringer. And what do I want? Probably just more horsemen, right? Might as well start desummoning some of them. He does get the capture point, but this one's been held since forever. And this map is simply too big. It's kind of weird. Bretonnia is obviously the much more mobile force, but big maps can have a little bit of an advantage to these very melee armies too, if you have good vanguards that can actually get on the points and contest them really well. Me saving 2 Pestigores for this point was probably what that's probably what got me a big advantage here, because it forced his guys to fly all the way across the entire map to save the situation. GG. And we're gonna be up against La Roca next. Yo, I have not seen them before. Interesting. It's gonna be 4 wins now. Hell yeah. We got a Noxbringer. 2,600 value. Horsemen did great. Chosen were just a capture weight holding unit, I guess. I wonder if Albera could have routed them, but in the trees, probably not. Caster did get a decent amount of value. Made it so Albera could not be as aggressive as he wanted to. And yeah, all these expensive cav units, they didn't really do that well. And the Noxbringer is just good against yeomen. Not bad. So this guy's playing Warriors of Chaos. They're a new player. So maybe I do try out the one Bleak Spire. Maybe I do try out the Beasts of Nurgle maxing. Tamarcon was pretty hyped though. I do think the Chaos Lord is better on account of having more speed. 75 speed means he can actually catch dudes. But Tammy is definitely the tankier of the two. Could he have used the 4 yeomen to contest the far point while defending the middle with knights? The thing is, if you have all your yeomen there, I keep my pestigors in the trees, and I'm up trading because you're spending more money defending the point than I am contesting it. You know, I'm spending 1,300, and if he has 4 yeomen there to properly contest it, that's 2,000 gold. And the yeomen are one of the main trading tools. But okay, Warriors of Chaos. What are the main threats? They have very strong infantry, and they have very strong skirmishers. So, like that just screams Noxbringer. Is there a non-Noxbringer I can bring though that beats skirmishers? I do think skirmishers are just the absolute bane of Nurgle if they're strong enough. Yeah, Tammy was just kind of around. He was less kind of around than the Chosen, though. That unit of Chosen saw no action, man. They just camped in the trees for 10 minutes and then the battle ended. It's kind of sad. Okay, I think you just have to take the Noxbringer most of the time. It almost always gets its value. I don't think there's really a big downside to having them. But if we are playing against the Warriors of Chaos, what are we gonna bring here? Uncle for Uncle. Yeah, it was actually a tactical Chosen reserve. The thing is, to play on a map like that, you do need to spread your capture weight pretty wide. And your capture weight does have to be sturdy enough to not get sniped. Because, like, you saw those pestigors, right? That's a pretty big loss, losing so many of them there. But yeah, Bleakspire Labor Camp. It is a fairly close quarters map. It's pretty close quarters. The points are actually extremely close. Did you guys know Plague Toads can actually do okay versus Hellstriders if it's just a flat charge on charge? Now, if they get flanked, they die, but I'm telling you, they can actually get a little bit of work done. There's typically a lot of Forsaken here. I can match the Forsaken with Forsaken. Spell-wise, you might get a normal caster with Tormentor Sword, or you get like an Archaon. If there is an Archaon, Rancid Visitations is only okay against him. He's quite tanky. If I was playing Chaos, yeah, like it'd be Horsemen, and I would be spamming Horsemen and have like a Hell Cannon or something. That's basically it, yeah. So I think as long as I'm prepared against that, I'm happy. Spellcaster wise, I'm feeling good. You know, it's kind of weird with Nurgle games, I've noticed. I'm like always running out of summons. All of your units are out so slowly that you can't, like, you have to take extra infantry. You can't just resummon your infantry. And that really makes it more difficult for Nurgle. Because it means I can't take reactionary tools as often. It's not the end of the world. Because it's not like you always need to be able to react. Crap. There could be double Chimera here. Ah, crud. I forgot about double Chimera. Yeah, double Chimera, 6 Horsemen, just delete Nurgle, right? Now, if he's a new player, he might not be ready to defend double Chimera. But I'm telling you guys right now, if it's double Chimera, I'm screwed. Maybe I can shuffle a couple things around to make it a little bit more acceptable for me. This is going to be a little bit more resistant against double Chimera. Yeah, you know what? Let's spec against that, because I think that is actually just the absolute worst thing we could possibly face. Not planning for Hellstriders plus Dreadmaw. Hellstriders and Dreadmaw, you know, we're very likely to see Hellstriders. Dreadmaw doesn't do as much here, especially if we have strong single entities that can fight. It's still very strong, of course, but I don't think it's a world beater. The Horsemen, though, are a much bigger issue, but Nurgle does have an answer to Horsemen. Starts with Nox. It brings much death. Honestly, without the Noxbringer, I think Nurgle as a faction just doesn't work. The faction just... it just doesn't work, man. No, if we had to shake up the meta with Nurgle... like, okay, Nurgle, if we were to make it a more legitimate faction, what would be the best thing to do? I think if you made their Chaos Knights a little bit cheaper, just a little bit more viable, Nurgle becomes pretty scary. I feel like 1,250. Like, Chaos Knights are going to be... there's no way Chaos Knights are better than Griffin Legion, right? Like, if you had to choose between Griffin Legion or Chaos Knights, I think Griffin Legion just stomp because they have Glorious Charge. But if you made Nurgle actually have cheap enough Chaos Knights, I think that would be sick. Also, I think for sure, Anticity League, Ent League, it's gonna happen when the DLC drops. If the DLC doesn't have enough, if it doesn't actually update the factions, I'm gonna say screw it. I'm taking over balance. Screw it, man. Because, you know, I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of these lack of updates. Also, yeah, Noxbringer is sick. What are its stats? 5244. It is one of the best statted single entities in the game. Korn would love it. But yeah, like, if CA doesn't buff Nurgle, I'm just going to put out... I'm gonna get a mod made that makes Nurgle a little bit more viable. A modded competitive scene for balance doesn't seem too bad. I think, yeah, it would be nice. I can get some prize pools going, cast the videos. Ready. All right, La Roca. Let's see what you can do against this. They've kicked the can for balancing for what now? Like the last 3 updates? Basically. I think they had some very minor changes overall. But Slaanesh has been meta for like 5 updates now. Maybe 6. Slaanesh has been meta for like 1.5 years, right? Or almost 2 years? Are we past the 2-year mark? I don't know, man. But the pacing is too slow. It doesn't even need to be that balanced. Just shake up the meta, man. If Nurgle becomes as OP as Slaanesh, it's still better than Slaanesh being as OP as Slaanesh. I think people would actually be fine with that. Good luck, have fun, ready. What should they do for Nurgle? Nurgle needs more slows. Like, they need to be able to actually catch. They need to be able to catch units. They just like, they need a spell or a lord with an ability that slows. That would probably be best for them. Issue with multiplayer balance is that the game is balanced around single player research and all other single player stuff, with multiplayer being an afterthought. Yeah, multiplayer is definitely an afterthought. Though you can balance multiplayer just by adjusting gold prices. The factions nowadays, you know, maybe like on launch, they weren't super diverse. Give Nurgle Dreadmaw. Nurgle Mark to Dreadmaw. Holy. That would be sick. But, yeah, the thing is, most factions have the appropriate counters. It's just some of them are too weak to be good. But like Nurgle, you just give them like slightly better. Just give them slightly better stuff. Like, I don't know. You can make Plague Ogres better. I think Plague Ogres being a high mass, high damage unit is good because they do get countered by a lot of stuff. You still need some sort of skirmisher buff though. That doesn't make Nurgle super strong versus like a ton of factions. Which I think it has to be the Chaos Knights. I think Nurgle needs better Chaos Knights, or even better, instead of the Chaos Knights, just make vanilla Rot Knights better. Because they're regenerating cavalry. So if you're getting kited and skirmished, you know, that's having regen armors. Kinda glorious, right? Slanesh has had the highest win rate for the last 5 seasons. Oh. Yeesh. Yeah, next patch, I'm doing it, man. Next patch, I'm taking over. We're gonna be the next Turin. We're gonna square up. Make a big scene. With new players galore. It's gonna be so much work. It's gonna be a lot of work, man. But as a passion project, I think it's totally worth. Hey, it is Archaon. A flaming sword? Why does he have a flaming sword? This is not the matchup where it does well. My units are not flame weak, so having fire damage is pretty bad here. It does nothing. Nurgle cultist summoning bloated corpses. Ah, yes. A little bit of lag, but I think we'll live. I'm the reason you've got 900 hours. Love the content. Thank you so much, man. I think, you know, if you put in the effort, people will come. Back when I first made the ladder bot, it was very successful. As long as I could continue to put effort into it. I got treed, man. I got wrecked by the tree. This guy has Forsaken of Tzeentch. That's kind of sick. This man runs Forsaken. And I respect that. Chosen, great weapons. Thankfully, I got Pestigor's. If I just had Forsaken, that would be much worse. But yeah, we're just gonna sit on the 2 points and value trade. These horsemen are gonna get a volley off. They're gonna miss, and then I'm gonna turn and shoot with the Noxbringer. At point blank range. Maybe. Come on, Noxbringer, you got this. Boom. Oh my goodness. The Noxbringer is insane. How is this unit so good? Just make it where they can take 2 Noxbringers, man. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Nurgle becomes the best faction in the game. Dude, this thing's insane, man, when you got the micro for it. Now, Archaon's gonna be fighting my lord, but he's surrounded and spirit leeched. It's pretty bad for him. You get a pretty sick dodge. This is a common misplay that newer players will make when they're coming off of campaign. They will just chuck out spells because they're not used to people dodging. It is usually one of the first things that you gotta work out, because if you don't, you end up losing a lot of magic, and magic can be worth like thousands of gold worth of value in terms of especially in terms of just immediate impact. It is quite important. I kind of killed the Chosen. Flaming Sword doesn't buff their damage by much, by the way. You can see Flaming Sword gives them +4 damage. It's quite lackluster. Let's see if I can get a big shot on the flank of these Forsaken, by the way. Is generally how you do it. Pretty good shot. Honestly, if you just maximize the value on the Noxbringer. Jeez, okay, that did pretty well. Hey, I think I can rout him with the big charge. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Playing Nurgle as just a Noxbringer maximizing faction, that's where it's at. Now, there is a Feral Manticore we gotta worry about a bit. We got some Chaos Trolls here. He's gonna be going for my Lord. Gonna check out a Burning Head. That one did land. But can he stop my Lord from escaping? He's pretty nimble. Clips are chosen with the Burning Head. That's not gonna do that much damage. Noxbringer's getting the work in. So he just got an attack animation. That means it's time to wheel over here and get a big shot. And then we let him keep cooking. The Noxbringer is a unit that should be in melee and doing range attacks at the same time. Good surround on my Lord, though. Did I move him in the wrong direction? Oh my gosh, a sandwich? Now that's a pretty sick play. Got a massive sandwich on my Lord. Anyone can kill my Lord, it turns out. New player or not, my Lord is always susceptible to the murderage. He's gonna be able to live, though, as a Manticore rampages. And the Noxbringer is in. Now, how do we deal with Archie over here? He's doing pretty well for himself. Whoa. Got us. Get away. Gotta get that Lord juking and diving. We killed Archaon. Let's see, how's this fight going? Pretty well for me. Honestly, my opponent's not playing too bad. He got a really sick surround with his Manticores. But my guy's just a little too chonky here. He's just a little too chonky, and I kind of just dragged his single entities through the mud. Against someone who's not ready for it, though, this is absolutely a very strong sniping build. Just being able to whip out the Manticores. I would probably change their build a little bit. However, I do think the Forsaken of Tzeentch don't offer very much. Hellstriders are usually a little better. Though in this case, these Hellstriders are obviously being overwhelmed. This guy has enough armor to not really take damage from them either. But, you know, you can use like Blood Beasts. They're pretty good. Those kind of options is what I would recommend if I were to change up this build. You can also run Chosen, I guess. They're not marked Chosen, but they can still sometimes get the job done. That's a little more risky, though. I'd probably hold off on that. You know what I would do? I'd get a Hell Cannon. I think that's what this build really needs. Every Warriors of Chaos build should just have Hell Cannons. Because if your opponent ever brings a kind of, you know, non-rush build, the Hell Cannon's just gonna be value. It just always gets value if your opponent's not rushing. And who rushes Chaos, right? So you're basically guaranteed some good value there. Alright, time to beat up the Chaos Trolls again. I cannot wait to check out the value on the Noxbringer. 2,400. Dude, Noxbringer is sick, man. Noxbringer is actually the best unit on the roster by a significant margin. By like an insane margin, man. Don't Spirit Leech Cavalry. Used to be good, it's not very good anymore. I'll slow them down though. With the poison, they ain't moving. But yeah, I'm just Spirit Leeching because Archaon's dead, and I have nothing else to do with my magic. Man, Chaos Knights, yeah, they're not Griffin Legion. They don't have Fire Blood. Chaos Knight should be the same price as Griffin Legion. Someone fight me. Someone tell me I'm wrong about that, because I really do not feel like they compete at all. They're just weaker, more expensive Griffin Legion, man. GG well played to my opponent, though. GG well played. Had some Horse Masters, but they got bullied. Oh, he did have a unit of Chosen. I missed them. I thought they were just Marauders. My bad. Forsaken are good. They're just good generally. I would run more of those guys. The Lord Snipe attempt was good, but yeah. Nice. All right, so that's gonna be a win for us. And then what we do is we're going to declare the win. And then we're going to do the top 4, because we might as well. So to do that, I just need the bot commands. Extra win. Extra win. Okay, and the top 4 is up. I'm up against Alexander once again. Yo, yo. Yeah, we're just gonna do top 4s. I think, you know, even though I want to get to editing and such, it's nice having a top 4 in this tournament. Gonna have to kick you, nothing against you. We're just here to have us some fun. Get that semifinals going. All right. So what map are we on? Decrepit Moor. Okay. Has Alexander figured it out? Or am I going to beat them again with the Nurgs? What composition could they possibly bring to defeat such heinous Nurgling? I do wonder. He was afraid of the Tallyman, that's why he brought the magic damage. Should I bring the Tallyman versus Alexander? Throw the semifinals? Let's see here. How do we want to do this? Bretonnia! Bretonnia. I could do something crazy like this. This would be some bonkers plays, but I think it's pretty funny. Could be fun. I do wonder. This is a bit more experimental. I don't know if this is actually good. Festering Stooges only heal in melee. Yeah, they only heal in melee. That makes them a lot worse because Yeomen can just kite them in the early game. I think Alexander is going to start having some desperation plays now, which is pretty fun. So how do I counter their shenanigans? I could take this ability. Oh, okay, this kind of works out. And what's good versus the Bretonian mobility? Forsaken are surprisingly tanky versus cavalry. I did enjoy them quite a bit. The Pestigores are good, they're just solid. And then I just need some like high mass, longer lasting units. This map is not the greatest for me though. Out of all the maps, this one is probably the most favored for Bretonnia yet. So one must be a little bit careful. I guess I can just swarm with these guys. And this is a very trade-heavy map. It's very difficult to capture the opponent's home point. So up trading is the name of the game, and I think I have more or less a good solution. Chaos Knights. Do you think Chaos Knights would be OP at 125? Like marked Chaos Knights at 125. Do you think they'd be OP? I think like marked Chaos Knights at 125, unmarked Chaos Knights at like 1,200. Because I think they are actually pretty scary compared to Cold One Knights. They are pretty highly statted. But the factions that they're in don't really benefit very much from them. Cold One Knights also have that mega buff too. So I don't know. Anyways, here's the build. Ready? Good luck, have fun. The other side of the bracket, by the way, is Von Karstein versus Ponty. I haven't even faced Von Karstein yet. Bretonnia against the Nurgle is Grail Knights and Guardians and Alberic and Lifebloom. We actually just destroyed that earlier. That was what Ponty brought against us. Granted, I did get a Fey Enchantress Knight. But the Grails were not the scariest thing in the world. In fact, if they take a big enough hit from the Soul Grinders, it hurts pretty bad. And this Soul Grinder, it does the same amount of damage as the Soul Grinder. So I think if I micro them properly, we should be able to get a lot of work done. This is a very infantry heavy build too from the Bretonians. That's pretty nice. I was wondering if he was going to go heavy on the SEs. If it's very infantry heavy, I can totally just push this point. There's no threat that they can that they can throw my way. They definitely can't get on this point very quickly, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. Let's just position our boys on the edge of that point. I have like pure infantry here. It's a Damsel of Heavens. Is that Alberic? It is. Okay, so that tells me I should totally just Spirit Leech the guy to death. He's on a horse. What a mad lad. Horse Barrack is here. Come on, shoot, you darn Euromen. Shoot. Very nice. Then we dodge, and that gives me opportunity to move in. This is... Oh, he has a slow. Interesting. That's not going to help very much, though, is it? Oh, whoops. Forgot to move up the Noxbringers. But yeah, with a little bit of dodging, we managed to get some fun working. Definitely going to need to get some units in here, though. And the Noxbringers are going to have to cook. This is absolutely a Noxbringers game. Whoop. That's a big volley. I do thankfully manage to dodge most of it, though. Composition-wise, going for heavier skirmisher plays, that's going to be a little more awkward. Let's see if we can do this, though. We get some Pestigors. If he's not ready for this and his archers take too much damage, that would be quite painful. Already almost killing off one of them is a very good start, certainly. And I can definitely start bullying Alberic. Let's keep dodging. These guys are pretty menacing. Them's Noxbringers. Or them Soul Grinders. Gonna dodge it a little bit. Woo! A little spice, but we're getting there. It's a big fat infantry push, though, I must say. Got a lot of damage on that Grail Relic, at least. But I'm gonna have to push back, because obviously we're here mostly for the value trades. Ooh, that's gonna be a big hit. Potentially. Ouch! Oh my gosh, the humanity. That's a big volley from the artillery pieces here. They do not mess around, let me tell you. That's gonna be getting me a lot of value. I gotta kill off these foot squires for sure. Whoop. It's a little bit of a tussle. Alberic is not indestructible though. It's gonna take a lot of damage. Okay, pretty good. Gonna need to get a big volley over here. Unfortunately, we're getting a few routes. This is a very heavy infantry build. And those foot squires, they do hurt. Alberic, though, does not have any healing, however. It's gonna be rough for him. Hopefully this does well. I do have a lot of Forsaken here. But I don't feel super comfortable just yet. You gotta remember, Noxbringer is also very accurate compared to the other guy. Alberic is taking a lot of damage, though. Okay, Forsaken have routed off a little bit of a core of his army. Those archers, though, are just not going to die anytime soon. Now that they're able to just get volley after volley on my guys, it ain't too pretty. Lord is doing okay, though. That's a chain lightning and a half. It's actually going to kill his peasants, though, which is a little suboptimal. Let's get a big volley over here. And I think I can afford to lose this point if I can kill Alberic. I think that's absolutely what we're going to do. I'm going to have Forsaken jumping his archers. And this might be the break that I need, the lucky break. He's low. He's bloodied. He's spirit leeched. Hopefully that's enough. I am triple capped, but Alberic is down for the count now. I don't know if that spirit leech finishes the job though. Oh my gosh, it barely finished the job. Wow. Well, that's huge for me then, as now we're going to be able to rout off all these guys. Very nice. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then I wheel this guy around and fire directly into that blob. And then he should just fall apart. That's a huge hit. Absolutely massive. Just got to keep dodging with the Noxbringer. As long as it stays alive, I'm good. I got a million dudes here, and I think that might be it. Kind of a sketchy battle. My opponent definitely had the advantage until we were able to get the Lord Snipe. Whew. And he saved up for Grail Knights, which means I killed Alberic at like the perfect time. Because he was saving up. He was saving up for those guys. And then if I use my Noxbringers here, if I use my artillery pieces to pound those Grail Knights, they should take enough damage to die. At the same time, they're also routing off a bunch of dudes. Archers are just gone. Very good. And then let's see if we can just kill these guys. Whoop, a little awkward. Yeah, there we go. That's a big volley. Very nice. That's also a fairly big volley. We're gonna slow him down because I need this guy to live. And then I just gotta start recapturing points. Value-wise, we're doing great. Woo, man, this Noxbringer though. He's doing everything he can to stay alive. If I can just rout off the Grails though, I'm set. Oh my goodness though, what a nasty fight. He definitely had a huge advantage over me. This one Noxbringer though, just barely surviving. Can I get one more pot shot on those Grails? If it finishes the job, we're so set. Doesn't get the shot off though, gonna have to charge instead. Gonna have to damage reflect. If it lives though, that's glorious. Gotta remember, Alberic is still dead, so we can bully these archers like so. And the Noxbringer does manage to survive while routing off the Grails. Hell yeah. Okay, alright. We ain't out of the woods just yet, but this is still very good. Oh my gosh. That thing deletes Grail Knights like no one's business. Absolute slaughter on them. It's still alive. It has 1300 value. I think it might finally die here. But he's gonna lose an entire Grail Knight for that. Ouch! Big volley though. Big spell cast. Very smart. He does kill it, but the Grail Knights are dead. Which is about as bad as it gets for our Bretonnian player here. Archers are routed. And I just gotta kill off their caster now. I do have a Buna. For the Knights of the Lionhearted. We're gonna see if we can chuck that out. Hopefully it gets cast. Oh, it didn't get cast. Crap. He routed him off in time. Slightly unfortunate. Looks like we still have a fight on our hands. This will be a nasty slow though. We got all of our boys in here. And if I catch all the mobility, I think we're still doing good. I gotta get my lord in this mosh pit though, for sure. For the leadership. And if my caster comes back and he gets a Buna off, we're set. He has secured a point though, so I have to be a little careful. That one chain lightning might have brought him back in. This is a okay damage resist though. I can get a pretty nice shot in on these Knights of the Realm too. No, the caster. What a ripoff. He can't fight this. He's forced to disengage. Very nice. Okay, and I think I don't want to overchase. Gotta be a little careful. Just gotta regroup with my dudes. Start getting some horsemen in. We did have our dude rally. And this is an uphill charge. So that's not going to be nearly as effective. Now, Alberic the Menace has returned. And there is that to consider. But if I can just chuck out a Buna here, I'm happy. Oh, that's a big spell though. Ouch. Oof. Okay, this guy has to regroup with my lord. He's so low on leadership. If he routes, we're doomed. I do have the 2 cap though. I do have lots of skirmishers too that are pretty good in this situation for just up trading. And I might even be able to catch his lord. Or not his lord, but his caster here. So that's pretty nice. Let's slow him down some more. Okay, not too bad. And then we just catch him with all the boys. Yeah, that slow is actually pretty high. Caught basically all of them. I do have enough for another Buna too, so I'm going to keep this guy around for sure. And then if I just lay into him with the skirmishers, I think we still have our advantage. Yes, a couple archers are alive, but I don't think they'll make a huge difference. He does capture my point though. That's a little awkward. But I have a lot of skirms here. I have a lot of skirms. He doesn't have a lot of cavalry to defend the range units. He didn't even capture the point too. Huge. Okay, I don't want these guys to die shutting down the archers, but I want to kill at least one of them. And then maybe we'll just disengage. Thank goodness for that point steal though. You can see he summoned some units over there to secure a point. I can defend that though. How's my caster doing? He's still fine. And yeah, as long as my horsemen stay alive, I'm okay. I do have that one last Buna too. Buna of the gods to save me. Big soul grinder at the ready too. As long as this point doesn't fall, I'm okay. And I certainly have a lot of dudes here. I just have to be careful in case he rotates over. That's all mounted yeomen. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it would be then. This infantry is not particularly fast either. So I just have to kill off the Knights of the Realm. That's a fairly easy ask, I would say. I think we can do that. I just need to make sure this point doesn't get stolen is all. I might just Buna the ranged yeoman. It's kind of crazy. But I do actually kind of feel like they're one of the bigger threats. Don't ask me why. It's kind of just a gut feeling. But I think it's probably because they have a lot of capture weight over here. And they can do a lot of shooting, which can cause me issues. So shutting them down just feels like the right thing to do. We've slowed down Alberic too, hell yeah. Very, very nice. This caster coming back, man. What a hero. Hero of the people. I think he has actually saved us with this sick magic. And, yeah. Alberic is just taking a little too much damage. The Mass of the Forsaken, pretty nasty. He does manage an escape, but I have this point on lockdown now. It seems our value trading is just a little too much. Just a little too much for the forces of Bretonnia. Alberic can't even give his bonuses here. Look at that brace. Brace units take very little damage from cavalry. Though I'll probably need a little bit more support there. And Double Soul Grinder wins. Surprise, surprise. And there's the Pestigore slow. My voice cracked. That's how exciting it was. Oh my goodness. Yo, that's a massive Pestigore slow. There ain't no escape, man. I did say Nurgle needed more slows. Pestigore slow is one of their best slows. The only reason it's not amazing is because you need to route them for it to trigger. And it's not like you can guarantee routing units all the time. This is good though. Let's brace. Slow him down. Look at that charge. Completely stopped in its tracks. And now this core can just go ahead and capture this point. I could walk here, but it's actually so much further that I'm better off securing this point for the victory. It's just a little better while stalling this point as much as I can. Look at them marauders. Bogging them down. The value trading is immense. And when he's out of units, he's out of capture weight. That's all I really need. Got 9 capture weight here already. This point's going to fall well before this one falls, if it even does. And that's going to show that indeed Nurgle is a menace. Nurgle's an absolute menace, man. I don't know what to say. We beat Bretonnia like 4 times today. All different builds. We got a rough map for us and a rough build. But it doesn't matter. Nurgle's amazing. Look at that. Huge value. GG. Well played, Alexander. Yeah, normal Soul Grinder got 2,268. What a value train. The Noxbringer got 2,400 despite being focus fired. Lord got a lot of damage. Sorcerer of Death, mega value. If you're in a longer game, Death is better than Rancid. Because I wouldn't have been able to have enough leftover magic for the Bunas. Squire push was kind of scary at the beginning, though. I really did not have a lot versus that. Human were only partially shut down by the Soul Grinder, but the Grail Knights dying to the Soul Grinder, though. Soul Grinder actually acting as like a cannon to kill Grail Knights is so perfect. That was sick. That was a positively amazing. Let me know when done. So either against Ponty or Von Karstein. I think it's gonna be Von Karstein. It seems like they're messaging me. Pestigore slow is so good too. But can I beat Von Karstein? They are a fairly proficient player. His caster got pretty decent value, but not as much as mine. Alright, final stretch. We're in the grand finals, people. Can we win? Yeah, double Soul Grinder. I was having so much fun with 1 Soul Grinder. Why not 2? Happy turn noises. I'm not gonna lie, this one ain't looking good. Ah, yeah, we proved chat wrong again. I did need a pretty big pick to win it, though. Without an Alberic kill, he's so much more mobile. He can bounce between the points and such. Grand finals with Nurgs. With some pretty scary players, too. You know, no Zarix, but like Alexander Nuts is no slouch. But yeah, the Alberic Snipe was obviously very important. The thing is, though, even a bit of damage and the Spirit Leeches will eventually get him. I did land some pretty nasty hits, though, with this Chaos Lord. The thing is, though, too, he had a very good build, so luck one way, luck the other. To have a mass infantry archer build against quad skirmisher, that's pretty nice. I was able to pull it back though with some crazy Noxbringer hits. Though they did so much damage, man. Just like right into the middle of the infantry. I think maximizing that value is where Nurgle really starts to get going. But yeah, let's look at some changes. Oh, Space Laser, welcome to the crew. Thank you so much.
At your service.
But yeah, let me look at changes. So I think Nurgle cavalry, or you know what, Rot Knights, Nurgle Rot Knights. I think Nurgle should be a Rot Knight faction. That should be more of a core unit. And honestly, I think 1600 is fine. I think 1600 is totally fine. Now, it makes them so much better than Chaos Knights. But maybe 1650. So 150 gold decrease. Let's look at like a good comparison, right? Like Rot Knights are roughly the same tier as like they're better than Dragon Princes, obviously. So they should not be that much cheaper. Is there like a 1600 gold cav unit? Rot Knights are kind of comparable to like, yeah, if they're slightly better Demi Knights. I feel like 1650 is not enough though. You know what? It's my mod. I get to I can be a little bit more extreme. If Rot Knights are OP, who cares? Right? Like, come on, man. Let's see here. For Beastmen, what do we want? All right, I'm up against Von Karstein then. I think Ponty hasn't messaged in 20 minutes. So Von Karstein it shall be. Von Karstein is playing Dark. No, the counterpicking. I'm Nurgle. And the map is Glades of the Everqueen. That's a pretty bad map for me. It does have a home point. But you can almost never triple cap anyone on that map. And it's mostly about the fight in the center. It's a little sus. But yeah, Beastmen. So, what's like a Beastman unit that doesn't see play? Cockatrice. 900 gold. Is this thing even better than a Manticore? It's apparently supposed to be better than a Manticore. Although this would affect multiple factions. I think it's still fun though. And Beastman doesn't need much of a change. Praeton buff, maybe. This one's the most interesting out of the bunch though. Having fun playing against me? Hell yeah. Need to work on your builds and micro. Honestly, it wasn't too bad. I should give every faction like... Maybe I should also give them a Lord decrease, but we'll start with units first. So Beastmen, Warriors of Chaos. They get the Cockatrice. Price reduction. More armor on Minotaurs. Oh, that would be kind of fun. But like, honestly, a lot of Beastmen units already see play. We want to like shake up the meta. What do Beastmen usually struggle against though? Because optimally this would like balance things out a little bit. Tomb Kings, Norska, and Chaos Dwarves. That's the second time we've seen Tomb Kings. Chaos Dwarves is a weird one. Versus Nurgle? How do I play that? I'll play versus Tomb Kings. I feel like Nurgle is not bad versus Tomb Kings. I don't know. Maybe I'm horribly wrong. This should be rather interesting. Do you guys think the Noxbringer is still good versus Tomb Kings? Like, let's say he brings Ushapti, Chosen of the Gods. Can't the Noxbringer, like, burn their ammunition? Maybe I am totally wrong, but... Can't it? 6-0 Nurgle, I know, right? Let's see here. Tomb Kings. Yeah, I think I might just do this. Skaven should get buffs. I tried a Plague Bearer buff on Skaven before. Or no, Plague Monks. I think I made them like 600 or something. I made them cheaper. And they still weren't that good. I think they should be, well, I think honestly Skaven, the Warp Grinder should be cheaper. It can't be cheaper in land battle, but in domination, it absolutely should be cheaper. Let's see, if I'm facing Tomb Kings, I definitely want Exalted Plague Bearers, Mega Cook, Trust, plus Tallyman. Finally get that Tallyman winning. Tallyman. He's got a jank, man. Tomb Kings don't have that much magic damage, though. I can see the Tallyman doing okay. It's just I don't know how to use the Tallyman. I don't think I'm good enough for the Tallyman. Guy's too spicy. Buff the land ship. Land ship already sees some play. Maybe I buff the Luminarch. that would really give Empire some really disgusting plays. So I need to do buffs that make the faction better in their worst matchups. We'll call it tools. Counter tools. So maybe the Beastmen I don't buff the Cockatrice. Right, but like Nurgle needs more mobility. So obviously we buff up their mobility. Skaven needs some mass. But like if you just make Rat Ogres cheaper, that doesn't really... That's not like a perfect solution. I'll need to look into it. Maybe Triads, but people use that a lot too. Stop being a coward. It's a tryhard stream, man. It's a tryhard stream. I can't just die. Now, how do I not die to Ushopti, bro? Dude, the mass Ushopti is gonna be so painful. What's my source of mass in this build? What, do I run Plague Toads for mass? It's really crazy how Tomb Kings do it. They use the Ushopti to kill all your large units, and once you're just infantry, they run over everything. That doesn't mean Nurgle can't cook, though. Doom Divers. Doom Divers, the problem with buffing that unit is that, like, it's still not very good. Like, just as a general unit, they just miss a lot. Though, like, I don't know, if you made it cost like 600 gold, maybe you'll see some crazy Doom Diver builds. Oh boy, he's ready. Mass. I need mass. Honestly, my guy here, he's gonna be pretty scary. Have to be real careful about the Ushopti. I know they're coming, right? Like, they're obviously coming. So, like, yeah, I can't go Rot Knights or Chaos Knights. Unless he just doesn't run anti-large, you know? In that case, like, maybe a 1-of is okay, but I'm gonna be summoning in a lot of units. Pestigores are super route prone, so they ain't perfect, though. They do have the Tears of Nurgle slow, which is kind of fun. There's Marauder spam, there's Spawn spam. Doom Divers do deserve to be better. They used to be better, but something changed about range units. I'm not entirely sure. I could run one of these guys. I guess this is okay. Sure. And I could run some of these. The build is okay. The build feels painfully average. Yeah, but I think this is just kind of what I have to do. All right, let's see how it functions. I feel significantly less confident now that we're actually loading into a battle, but I do have the Noxbringer. Goblin bolt throwers, 400 gold. Okay, Greenskins, they suffer the hardest against what? They can't kill big monsters, right? I think we should get the Black Orc big boss back. Like, actually have some greenskin duelists that can hunt monsters. Although, maybe there's something else that gets the job done. Pretty good luck, have fun. You can't really touch their cavalry. They get summoned so often that if you buff their cavalry, greenskins just get out of hand, I think. Great unclean one. Yeah, well, we're going to avoid that one because we need to tune up the bad matchups. Here's the build, by the way. We got the Noxbringer. I almost hope there's a Chosen of the Gods so I can see how this thing duels. You would love a cheap big boss? Okay, I'm doing it. Greenskins, Black Orc big boss. Cheaper. Yeah, just make them a little cheaper because Greenskins don't use those guys in rush builds. They're specifically there just to help fight against monster builds. And the guy's not a terrible fighter. It's just he's a little too expensive. So when you do take him, you just don't have an actual army. Interesting. Sphinx of Uska and Cetra, the Imperishable. Now I have a Noxbringer, so single entity wise I'm pretty good. This Exalted Hero is on a chariot, so a little less useful. But this tells me I want axe throwers. Summoned at the wrong location though, whoopsies. It's a bunch of horse skirmishers, which is pretty mild. I have plague toads from mass too. I absolutely want to make use of those guys. And then these little horsies, we just gotta dodge their volley. Get the Noxbringer shot point blank. That's gonna hurt a decent amount. We got our capture point. Hell yeah. Okay, and it's gonna be toad build time. So Noxbringer's already gone a little bit of damage. It has to not dilly-dally though, because these guys can certainly murder it extremely quickly if I'm not careful. I do have Spirit Leeches. Cetra can't heal very easily, so Spirit Leeching him is a good time. But the Sphinx of Uskep is the real fighter that I must be wary of. Now, 2 Axe Throwers is nice, but that is the only thing I have going on. That does make life a little bit more difficult. Doing a fairly good job dodging, though. These guys should not be able to get too much value either. Unfortunately, I believe I did hit a tree. A little unfortunate, but if the frontline fight goes well for me, I think we're good. There's not a lot of range units here, just some Ushabti. And the Plague Toads are perfect sources of mass. Trees here are kind of awkward, though. Can I get a good Noxbringer shot down the pipe on these guys? That would be real nice. I don't want to overextend. We're going to make use of the Tomb King's relatively low capture weight to force him forwards. Very nice. I just need to make sure my mass is at the ready. We got to wear them down with the Noxbringer as much as possible. This thing can certainly get a lot of damage off. Blasting skeleton warriors up the wazoo. And the toads will be very annoying too. Now, they're going to actually get on the point now. This is overall not too bad. Noxbringer is at the ready. The Sphinx has not been able to get too much work in. I can target fire the thing. And the initial fight has begun. But it's looking fairly okay for us. Maybe a big pot shot here could get some work in. Damage reflect across the board too is pretty nice. Another Spirit Leech on Cetra. The plan is I'm just gonna slow burn the guy. Can this Noxbringer get a big shot though? I'd really want him to just obliterate these fools. See, what do I want now? Pestigores are not bad. They do have that slow. And Cetra is, yeah, his big single entities are really having a hard time actually just getting in here, which I think is good for me. Toads are coming on in. Plague Bearers are actually one of the best fighters in the game, by the way. You can definitely make use of them. Sphinx of Uzkep taking a lot of damage. And we're using the Toads here to body block. He's going to try and save the single entities, but the big fight is just a little too dense here. And this should be extremely advantage for me. Especially if I can kill Cetra. We get a lot of magic from doing this. We can slow him down. I have the axe throwers at the ready. And this is Nurgle to a T. Just sitting around, grinding it out. He can't flank. And I think we might be able to get another massive Lord Snipe. Big hit on the Cetra. The high mass units here are just killing it. Sphinx of Uzkep is kind of in an awkward position. And if Cetra dies, Noxbringer can totally get some massive flank shots here. I think Cetra will be able to live. But not without being incredibly, incredibly wounded. I'll take it. Okay, now what? Let's get some Forsaken. How's the Noxbringer doing? Gotta get it into position. The blobs here are immense. Okay. I gotta get one volley off on these skeleton spearmen for sure. A little bit of a rout over there, but I'm still okay. That's gonna be a great spirit leech though. Ooh, gotta keep him alive. He wants the kill, but the escape attempt is a little too much. Cetra is definitely gonna go down soon too. And as long as I keep my micro going, I'm happy. Dodge, little dude, dodge! Ooh, I might be able to kill the Sphinx now. In its attempt to kill my lord, it is now severely out of position. Or my caster here. And I think we can just straight up kill it. That's pretty brutal. Oh my gosh. This is great. Nurgle's all about that single entity micro, by the way. That's all they really care about. Necrotech won't even be able to get here to save the thing. Amazing. And the Sphinx of Uzkep dies. Cetra's next. Good Ushapti summon though on the Noxbringer. But the grind is real. You do not want to just sit in a long grind against Nurgle. That's value city for me. Here we go. Big hit. Where's Cetra at? I think if the Noxbringer hits him, just gives him like a little love tap, I think he dies. He's dodging with Cetra quite a bit, but I'm gonna go Hail Mary on it. Oh, okay. He's going Hail Mary on my lord. I guess that makes sense, but he just immediately gets hit. Poor Cetra. And now the value trading is insanely in my favor. Plague Bearers and Toads are just magical. A little bit of overcast damage, totally worth. As Cetra is sure to die now. He can go for yet another capture point. But his lord is dead. And now the Noxbringer can get the money shots. Right down the pipe. Onto that infantry. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of damage. And he's gonna have to tap out. GG, well played. Nurgle's the best faction in the game. Confirmed. I did better with Nurgle than I did with some of the other factions. Holy moly, GG, well played. Alrighty. Well, that was sick. Best faction, yeah. Noxbringer got 1500. Amazing duelist. He did misplay with his single entities, but my composition was designed to basically like crush his front line. He has to do something with his single entities to turn the tide of the battle. So even if he didn't engage with them, I would still just kill his front line and the same thing would happen. The axe throwers are amazing. at giving the backline support to make sure they can't rush in. And then we just won. And then we just won. Noxbringer is probably one of the best units in the game. When you can micro this thing and get its charges and get its 6 shots, it does crazy value. Spirit Leech is really good for those long drawn out games. 2,000 value on this guy. But you do need to be really good at your single entity micro. We did get to use toads though, very nice. Yeah, the value trading. Ooh. Very, very nice. Oh, and Turin says it seems fine. We can count this one for the top 4. Huzzah. Alright, so let me message Trizik, Storm. Let me know when you give me the tourney points. Hell yeah. Yeah, Nurgle Masterclass. I can't believe it. 7 wins. Now, it was a lot of Bretonnia, I must admit. Like, half of my games were against Bretonnia. But we beat Tomb Kings. Against Von Karstein, who's no slouch. I also 3-0'd Alexander Nuts. That's pretty rough. We beat the Ponty Grail stack. We beat some Warriors of Chaos. Love it. How'd this guy do? Pretty bad. Dang, dude. Yeah, they actually, nothing can uptrade these guys. Plague Bearers? So I tested it out. Plague Bearers trade slightly better than Warriors of Chaos, but they cost 100 gold cheaper. Farming Total Tavern Ladder. But yeah, they're actually insane. Very nice. Well, GG's. To wind down, I'm going to just quickly go through the factions while you guys are here. Because, you know what? I'm going to get started on the Anticity Balance mod. Greenskins, Black Orc Big Boss. How cheap should this guy be? Greenskins need a single entity hunter. At 950 gold, he's pretty good. I think if you make him 800 gold, right? That's pretty good, but he can't clear infantry. He only hunts single entities. I would say 850 is probably good enough. I think 850 seems fine. I was thinking playing Nurgle wouldn't be fun. Yeah, Noxbringer changed my mind. 750? 750? Not even 800? I guess if I'm making Rot Knights way cheaper, and this only helps out the worst Greenskin matchups. I think 8, you know what, 775. I think 7075 is a good, is a safe number. And it also has the 25 value, which is very common for Greenskins. If White Kings can be 650, Black Orc Big Boss can be 750. Wait, how much is a White King on a horse? That's a good point, though. You make a very good point. A White King on a horse with no Scab Scrath is 850. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, on a horse. So Black Orc Big Boss on mount. I think on a mount, the thing is the White King also has Scab Scrath, which is very undervalued. If Scab Scrath is a 300 gold ability, then the White King is actually like 700 gold is how much you're paying for the melee stats. You know what? Yeah, if a White King with Scab Scrath costs 1,000, a naked Black Orc Big Boss should totally be 750. And you know what? If he becomes meta, at least we have an interesting new playstyle for Greenskins. And it'll make them way stronger versus factions like Tomb Kings. Colossal Squig. Colossal Squig sees some play. But yeah, I think they just need a little bit more oomph. A target that can't get shot to death. Chaos Dwarves. What's the thing that troubles Chaos Dwarves? It's like artillery. We're not making the trains better, that's for sure. How do Chaos Dwarves... I guess they don't have the greatest ranged either. We could give them cheaper Hobgoblin Archers. Right now, Sneaky gets completely outclassed them. But yeah, Black Orc Big Boss 750 for sure. This first patch is just going to be buffs, by the way. Yeah, what do Chaos Dwarf struggle against? It really is just cannon factions. But, like, that might be a roster limitation more than anything else. I think Bull Centaurs are bad, but not everyone does, so it'd be kind of weird to buff them. Their counter battery options are not the bestest. You could make the Bolt Thrower cheaper. That's really weird. I think what they really need... I think they need more ranged options. They need a ranged option that doesn't just fold immediately. Hobgoblin Archers. It's a peasant archer with less range. Let's actually do a quick comparison. Hobgoblin Archers. They have slightly better melee stats. They have significantly more HP. But they have less range. And their damage is 13. 11 and 2. Peasant Archers are 16 and 3. Yeah, Hobgoblin Archers for sure. Chaos Dwarves, Archers. Well, actually, but like that doesn't solve the issue though, right? I guess if you're facing a lot of artillery and you can't bring expensive stuff, then you just only have a melee line. But they also have the skirmishers. I don't know. Chaos Dwarves is weird. You organize the first SFO tourney and multiplayer balance patch in Warhammer 1? Hell yeah. We can continue the tradition. Yeah, Chaos Dwarves is kind of weird. What do Dark Elves struggle with? I'm trying to think. Okay, I know Kislev. Kislev struggles with Undead really badly. I think they need slightly better options versus Undead. And I think Zargard minus 100 is where it's at. If you go to Empire, right? They got great swords for 850. Let's compare Empire great swords to Zargard. Zargard are better statted. They have less HP than great swords. That's crazy. Lower entity count. Yeah, I think Zargard. So for Kislev, Zargard minus 100. So that makes them 900 gold and 1,000 gold, respectively. That's perfect for Undead. Because now you actually have a front line that can grind a bit longer. Yeah, and these guys should be 1,300. No one runs Zargard. And I think Kislev would appreciate actually having these infantry do well. The mega worse Blorks. True, yes. Yeah, this is 1,000 gold. A Black Orc is also 1,000 gold. But look at the difference. 2,000 HP. If Black Orcs can have 25% more HP, these guys can be 10% cheaper. Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, they have Buyer Blood, but yeah, the mega worse Black Orcs. I think 900 for Zargard shields is fine. Cheaper might even be better. Would a Zargard meta even be OP for Kislev? Wait, they have less armor too? Or do they? That's a really good comparison though. Yeah, they have less armor, bro. They're so much worse. Okay, how do they compare to Empire then? Because great swords also don't see a lot of play. They should be balanced around great swords. Actually having good Zargard would be so cool for Kislev, actually. So, a normal Zargard... Like, if a... Okay, we'll look at the greatsword variant, because I think that's the best. So, imagine this guy costs 150 gold more than Empire greatswords. They have less HP. They have less armor. They have more speed, though. More speed, melee attack, and melee defense. Their anti-infantry is 14. The greatsword anti-infantry is 14. So if I chevron, this is a good test. If I chevron the greatsword to 1,000 gold, he's pretty close to Zargard, and chevroning sucks. Yeah, I think Zargard should be minus 150 across the board. I think normal Zargard should be 850. I think Zargard Greatsword should be 950. 100 gold more than Greatswords.
W Intercity W chat W I show speed. Handshake emoji.
What's this I show speed? Thank you very much for the pounds though. Triple Hearn, and thank you so much. Oh yeah, they do have Buyer Blood. Yeah, they do have the Kislev passive. Never mind. We're reeling it back in, people. We're reeling it back in. Kislev passive is massive. That's actually huge. Yeah, never mind. Okay. So 900, 1,000, and 1,300. Perfect. That's still good enough, though. Any Dark Elf Enjoyers out there? Yeah, 150 is a lot. Pump the brakes there. Yeah, when Greenskins only get Greenskin Black Orc Big Boss is 750. I guess Zargard minus that much could be insane. He lasts 10. Oh no. Let's see here. Lizardmen. Lizardmen have a hard time clearing infantry, right? They use a lot of their infantry quite often. You know what we should do for Lizardmen? This unit. Ripperdactyls. I feel like Ripperdactyls embody Lizardmen so hard. If they can be cheap enough where they can actually clear infantry at a decent speed, clear large units, I think that gives them extra tools. Is that what they need though? Like Lizardmen kind of struggle versus, like they already run Ripperdactyls to counter Furies and such. I don't know if that's the best. Croxagores minus 100, some mass. It needs to like feed into a new build. What do they really struggle against? It's infantry clear, so they should have some better infantry clear options. I feel like Ark of Sotek is not the worst. That's a pretty mild change. It's not really an infantry clear unit though. Temple Guard 1k. Okay, Temple Guard 1k is pretty crazy. That's only 200 more than Saurus. That's not a terrible idea though. Just make Lizardmen way more fighty in the melee front. Bola throwers, like stalkers. Please make Blackguard viable. Blackguard, having elite Dark Elves would be pretty cool. I don't know if that's what they struggle against though. We want to help the factions in the worst matchups. So if Lizardmen is really struggling versus infantry, Saurus could lose 50 gold. Yeah, that's like a nice mild change. I would love a bit more of a shakeup though. I know the ROR Sacred Croxagore sees play. This one doesn't as much. If we made these guys into Ushabti, would that do it? Oh, the Bola Birds versus infantry. Like Pterodon Riders? Oh, that's kind of cool. Go on vacation for a week and I'm up to 42k subs. Yeah, it's pretty high. Hopefully we can get it to 50k with my next video coming up. Though that is a lot of subs. We're still 8,000 down. But I got grand plans, man, now that I moved in. So we're only going to do gold changes. Make Saurus as fast and hard hitting as Forsaken. That's a good comparison. Let's take a look at Saurus. Now, if you make Saurus too strong, Lizardmen just become a Saurus faction. They just spam them. And I think that's not as exciting. But let's take a look and compare them to your average Forsaken. Forsaken do more damage. They have higher charge bonus. Less melee defense, significantly less HP. But a lot more speed. It's kind of a hard comparison. I think a better comparison is Chaos Warriors. In which case Saurus Warriors have less armor. In this case, no shields. Stat difference is immense though. I guess they hit hard and they have primal instincts. Yeah, I'm a little undecided about these guys. High elves though, it's easy. High elves, I know what we can do with high elves. They lack armor piercing. First and foremost, high elves lack armor piercing. Although how you tackle that is a little weird because they do use all these options. You weren't subbed? YouTube recommendations are pretty good. Lord Croak minus 250. That's pretty funny. But yeah, for the first patch, I don't know if that's what we're aiming for. You know, Sisters of Avalorn for high elves. I think Sisters of Avalorn could totally see more play. This is a 180 gold unit. Let's compare them to like straight up Glade Guard Starfire Shafts. They have a little bit more range, but these guys have move and shoot, and they cost 650. Sisters of Avalorn have 18 armor piercing, 4 normal. These guys are 16 armor piercing. Dude, they're only 2 armor piercing off. Yeah, I think Sisters of Avalorn. That way they can actually just like normally shoot factions for once. Tyrion needs immune to psychology. I don't want to change the actual unit stats because I think that's just a little too much. But yeah, Sisters of Avalorn. What's a good price for them? If they cost 1,050. What's a good comparison? Is there another like expensive armor piercing archer unit? I guess if you compare them to like, I don't know. They're like the most expensive ranged archer unit in the game. I think they can cost 950. And it's not the end of the world. Like you obviously high elves will be much better in a lot of matchups, but that's kind of the point. You should be, if you face Chaos Dwarves and you're worried about armor, your armor piercing archer should be the answer for it, right? Imperial Celestial Crossbowmen, yeah. Though they don't see a ton of play, but they are basically Sisters of Avalorn with less range. I think they're also a little overpriced though. But yeah, if you compare them with the Sisters, they're cheaper, they have less range, they do more damage. They're both pretty weak though, so I think Sisters of Avalorn being slightly cheaper than them is not going to break the game. So I already looked at Nurgle. Slaanesh, I should just nerf them, but let's see here. Slaanesh should have the most mild of changes. They need cheaper Pratons. Just make the Praeton cheaper. That's probably fine, right? What's the worst matchup? Slaanesh is worse versus Coast. The bad versus the grindy factions, but not like that bad. They're honestly strong enough. Demonettes minus 50. That doesn't change that much though. I'm trying to think. If I was to kill Slaanesh, it would be like a Vampire Coast. Maybe some really intense strong infantry cores. Oh yeah, Cathay Dragon Crossbows are armored. Sisters of Avalorn don't take a lot from Burning Head though, because they actually have really high HP per entity. Yeah, I think Devotee Archers are probably the most interesting one to buff. Because if you're running into issues with Slaanesh, usually you need like the ranged option. Devotees, this one probably doesn't need a buff, because if you make them too strong, then everything sucks. But I think Devotee X-Bows, this one you could totally, I think just make it like a little cheaper. Let's like 1,050. Slaanesh really doesn't need a buff. That's just there to show that, you know, maybe some weird matchups where you're fighting a hyperbox, you can shoot them a little bit better. It's either that or the Chaos War Shrine of Slaanesh, but that might become too cheesy versus undead. I think Devotee Crossbows, Honestly, a Slanesh kiting with D4T crossbows is at least interesting. Skaven's the big one though. Skaven are the most desperate because they have the biggest weakness in the entire freaking game. CA buffed all cavalry in the game, and they left the infantry exclusive faction to weep. But we can change that, people. We can actually make Skaven do something for once. This unit right here, warp grinders, 400. Okay. I think, okay, maybe 400 is too cheap. Do they do anything though? I think warp grinders, like Skaven needs something. They need something. Warp grinders at 600, they do basically nothing. You're only limited to 2. I think 400 is a bit too cheap though. I think 500 is totally fine. Free minigun per unit. But yeah, they need something to stop cavalry. They already have rat ogres. They just need something on the same tier as rat ogres, and then they're fine. No elite infantry, no flyers, no cav. Honestly, I think warp grinders 475 is fine. They're a weapon team unit. If you're complaining about a weapon team killing infantry, just look at Poison Wind Globadiers, right? You can still shoot Skaven to death. Alright, they're still weak to that. But at least if they really don't want cavalry wrecking their face, they don't have to spend the price of a cav just to net them down. And you know what? If Skaven Warp Grinder builds are OP, at least it is interesting. Vampire counts though. Vampire counts is a weird one to buff. Because if you buff them, they might become ludicrously OP. Nerf the stats of Doomflayers but make them 650. Yeah, like a small Doomflayer unit. What do vampire counts lose against? There's like some Lord Snipe shenanigans to deal with. All their infantry is actually pretty decent. Some of the Graveguard are a bit weak, but I don't think that's what make or breaks vampire counts. Honestly, they're such a strong roster. I think it's very similar to Slanesh. Like, Vampire Counts is one of the strongest rosters in the game, but you know what they do lose to? Nurgle. Yeah, I was about to say. Killing single entities. The Terrorgeist is not useful in any matchup, really, except for taking it versus Nurgle. We've seen Maximilianaire, right? We've seen Maximilianaire desperately take a Terrorgeist, and then it loses to Angels of Decay. Their air builds just have to be a little stronger. And I think if you make this just a smidge cheaper, it's probably fine. So what's a healthy price for the Terrorgeist? Because we don't want to make it OP or anything. But the Goose... What's like another big flying single entity? 1700? That's 600 extra gold in matchups where they want to bring it. Though they might need it for Nurgle, I'm not gonna lie. Nurgle's so brutal. Ice Dragon. Like a Norska Frost Dragon is 1800. It's not super meta. Terrorgeist is better. Terrorgeist has anti-large. The whole shebang. This thing's 1500 though. Yeah, remove the Geist Breath Attack or make it 1600. I've seen Maximilian make good use of it though. I think Terrorgeist at 1800 is not the worst. No Vampire Counts player is running them in any matchup, in any normal matchup. We haven't had a monster-centric Vampire Counts strategy in forever. But when they're facing Nurgle, now they can actually have a bit of money left over when they take 2 of them. 1800 seems acceptable. What next? Who else is a faction that just completely suffers day in and day out? I feel like Tzeentch is a faction that really suffers. Because their rush is so bad. They might also be one where improving their mobility options could help. Because right now you only see Kite Zinch. It'd be interesting to see Zinch spawn back in the meta. You just tested and an Overcast Burning Head takes 55% of damage on Sisters of Avalorn HP. That's not the worst. It doesn't kill any entities and I think they'll stick around. Because if you need double Overcast Burning Head to kill a Sisters and they can run multiple at 950, I think that's good. Though it's true, they're not immune. Celestial Dragon Guard will be much better. Siege can take minus 25 gold on every unit and it would still be fair. I will say they don't have any standout units, but minus 25 gold on everything. If your starting build has 10 units, that's 250 for starters. Minus 150 gold on spawn across the board will be fun. Yeah, until you realize that's just the Warhammer 3 launch meta. And everyone is running spawn. I think only some factions should run spawn. Honestly, I think Zinch could really use better mobility. I'm just questioning if it should be Centaurs of Zinch or Chaos Knights of Zinch. Chaos Knights of Zinch are basically never used, right? What would you get with 250 gold to win one horse? No, that's 250 to start. And then the next like 10 units you summon, or yeah, the next 10 units you summon in is another 250. So like, don't think about it as an extra unit you get. Think about it as you minus one of your enemy units. So imagine you load into a battle and you can pick a 500 gold unit and they lose half their HP. That's pretty significant. It's not like, wow, Zinch is gonna win like crazy now, but that is pretty significant. I guess minus 25 gold is actually not that much though. But anyways, yeah, I think Zinch Knights. I think Zinch Chaos Knights. By far the weakest thing is that they don't have any good conventional cavalry. They only run Centaurs 24/7. I think Chaos Knights at 1300. That will give a bigger gold boost than minus 25 gold across the board. But you have to run Chaos Knights. Screamers minus 50. Ooh, that's a lot more thematic, isn't it? Screamers. Oh, Screamers minus. Yeah, Screamers. Oh, I totally forgot. Oh, that's a good way to judge which units are good or bad. Screamers 650. Yeah, it's every time I lose a battle, the first thing people start suggesting is the unit that should be buffed. Like every time I lose a battle versus large units, people are like, why don't you take Screamers? And then I have to explain that they suck. Oh, that's so perfect. Yeah, they don't need a grindy melee lord character. If Screamers actually get the job done and they're a solid anti-large unit, you can start trading them with cavalry. That's so perfect and very Zinch. I love it. Beautiful. Ogre Kingdoms, very strong faction. What needs a buffing? What do ogres lose to the most? Like if I'm playing ogres, there's a Noblar spam. What do people like tell me to take as ogres? Give Kairos regrowth back. Yeah, demons and spawn back during the launch meta. It's kind of fun. Do warp grinders stop dreadmaws underground? That's funny. I don't know if they do though. But they definitely should. Yeah, they should do extra damage to dreadmaws. They should force it to unburrow. That would actually be so sick. Bury the lead belchers. Yeah, the cavalry is interesting, but I don't think that solves the issues. Ogres have a hard time versus, like, honestly, they're pretty strong across the board. They don't need very much. It's a very heavy lead belcher meta right now because lead belchers solve everything. I'll wheel back to that But Bretonnia, however, I think Bretonnia. Do we need another Foot Squire buff? Foot Squires just keep getting buffed, but it doesn't do anything. People are running Foot Squires though. Battle Pilgrim buff, Cathay buffs. So I want one. Basically, I want every faction to have one tool that sucks be buffed, so that they are slightly better in matchups that they're traditionally bad against. Bretonnia sucks versus armor. I don't know if I want just a questing knight meta again though. But like they need some sort of armor piercing option. You could make men-at-arm polearms a bit cheaper. It'd be kind of weird though if Bretonnia just becomes the best polearm faction in the game. The legendary lords suck for ogres, that's true. I don't know if I want to touch lords though. It's kind of weird. How do you tune Bretonnia to be a little better? Like if you make battle pilgrims cheaper, like so let's say like if you're playing versus Khorne just loves to do this versus Bretonnia and then your life sucks. Tips for vampire accounts: fighting or playing? Because playing as vampire accounts is fairly straightforward. I can just give you a build. Fighting them is a lot more complicated. If you want a good vampire accounts build though, you take like ultra cheap Kemler with Raised Dead, like maybe Winds of Death, and then you just go like the ultra man tide vampire accounts. Oh yeah, and you always have this in reserve, and you take either Crypt Horrors or Graveguard to be your secondary, and then you just walk forwards, bro. There's like, especially a lot of players that are newer to the game, they're actually just not good enough to kill an army like this. There's also the Karen Wraith Rush that's good versus factions like Empire, but I would not recommend that if you're starting out. But like seriously, vampire accounts crush it with just the man build, and then you summon some Crypt Horrors to steal points in the late game. It's so hard to beat for many factions. If you are worried about archers, you take White Kings on foot with Scab Scrath. It's crazy. Grail Relique buff. Hey, attack speed enjoyer. What's up, man? Thank you so much for the prime sub. Yo, attack speed enjoyer. Because you enjoy wood elves, what is a unit that could be buffed, that would be the best for wood elves only in the matchups that they're bad in? So like think about wood elf's worst matchup and be like, man, I wish this unit would be better. I wish this unit didn't suck, because then I could actually take it. I know Glade Guard counter most everything in the game, but let's pretend you want something for their worst matchup. Honestly, Wood Elves are pretty good across the board, but surely there's something. Treekin minus 200. Treekin minus 200 is a fun way to just give them another playstyle. The Azrai Spears for like what? Just like a fast spear unit. Heavy cav counter and a cool unit. Do they 110 mass? These guys are 100 mass. They have 10 more mass. That's kind of cool though. Give mass and knock resist. So the way I'm doing these buffs is I'm only decreasing cost because I want the mod. So we're doing like an Anticity League where we shake up the meta every 2 months with balance changes. And that is a little limiting, but yeah. Yo, if they had Pigback Rider knockback resist, they would be the best unit in the game. Oh yeah, Treeman spam can do really well versus vampire counts. Darthu's a beast. Surely Dryads could use a buff. Yeah, why don't we just make Glade Guard cheaper across the board? I feel like, you know, 650 for only 16 armor piercing. Like, what are you doing? Sisters of Thorn minus 100. They're already used. And it's not like they fail Wood Elves in some matchups. What is the worst matchup for? I think, like, attack speed is right. Actually being able to fight armored cav is kind of important. Like, high elves have a lot of armored cav, Bretonnia have a lot of armored cav, and when they get in the cookie jar, it's kind of bad. Wildwood Rangers. Wildwood Rangers? These guys? These guys are already really good. I thought these guys like crushed Slanesh and Chaos a couple metas back. Attack speed and Joy is crazy. I think War Dancers is the best. I think at the very least War Dancers is indisputably bad. Wildwood Rangers, people are going to be arguing. But yeah, I think War Dancers, Wood Elves are already fairly strong. I think War Dancers 775 is probably good enough. That way you have, you know, a mid-tier spear option to deal with like Bretonnia cav spam. And you don't have to rely on Eternal Guard. You have a slightly chunkier unit. War Dancers is fun. Yeah. They also have these cool abilities that might do something. Empire gun armies don't work in multiplayer. Gun armies in general don't work in multiplayer. People are good enough where, like, campaign is about winning the fight as hard as possible so you can go to the next fight and win as hard as possible. Multiplayer is about winning the fight as close as possible so that no matter what your opponent does, you still barely win. Right? And that changes the dynamics of the build that you want to run. Naturally. So, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Now, I am one of the first players to make a gun army actually work when Vampire Coast came out, but that got nerfed a long time ago and is no longer very meta. Norska doesn't need a buff, but because we have to buff every unit, we might as well give the most fun Norska unit a little bit of loving. Maybe not all factions need a buff. I think if a faction doesn't need a buff, you just take the worst unit and give it a little bit of love so that you can see some different builds, right? Like, even if the Norska Fimir Noble gets a buff, you know, just give them something for the Norska enjoyers. -1 gold on Mammoths. I will say the Mammoths are pretty strong. The Edens, you don't want them to be too strong. Iron Hail Gunner flashbacks. Oh my goodness. I will say, when the gun builds work, they work very well. Fimir are in a good enough spot where they're just good enough to counter the builds that you want to counter, which is kind of exactly where you want them to be instead of being an always take unit. Sounds great, by the way. I'd play that. Hell yeah. Would trolls be OP at 650? Yeah. Trolls are already there to counter kite builds. So if you're already countering kite builds, making them cheaper just makes you even better against kite builds. We don't want to skew the faction to be better in matchups where they're already good. We need to make them in matchups where they're bad a little bit better. Now, Norska's the most like generalist faction ever. Not the ice trolls, just the bad ones. Yeah, even Norscan trolls. Like, you gotta be a little careful. Favorite faction to play with for these matches? Probably Slanesh. I like the speed, and it lets me take advantage of my opponent's misplays. Ice Wolf Chariots, they're in an okay enough spot where they get the job done as a chariot. And we already had an Ice Wolf Chariot meta. Honestly, Norska is one of the hardest ones. Like, what, do you make the Marauder Chieftain more interesting? I like the fact that we see Legendary Lords on Norska. The only thing I can think of is, like, the Fimir Noble. Why is Nakari so fast? That's their whole thing. Regular Mammoth, Manticore. Oh, yeah, it's true, flying. Norska, well, no, they have Manticores now, crap. Save Daniel and Demons of Chaos? Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll think about Norska, but a faction that needs saving for sure is the Demons of Chaos. So they get kited super hard and they have no armor. You know what they really need? Their one armored unit to get the job done. You know what that unit is? Bada bing, bada boom. Blood Crushers of Khorne. You have a unit that's not going to die like the Seekers, right? They will actually have a sturdy center line. A cavalry unit. So you can't always take Buna against them and counter half their roster. Make them more of a monster faction. Also very interesting. I think Blood Crushers is a good one though. Because it really solves a lot of issues. They can still get kited by armor piercing like war wagons and such, but is there something better we can do than Blood Crushers? Yeah, it'd be a great buff to Khorne's roster as well. Demons of Chaos, Blood Crushers. What's a good price for them? Let's do a stat comparison. This is an anti-infantry cavalry unit. Fairly expensive. What's someone in the same tier? 1,500. Preferably one that sees play. Blood Crushers deserve all kinds of buffs. I think they would be really nice because it just offers you that little bit of a mix-up that you need. War Bears. No one runs War Bears. I don't know how they work. Blood Knights. Sure, yeah, let's compare them to Blood Knights who also heal. So Blood Knights, for the same price, basically, they have 20 more melee defense. Otherwise, very relative stats. They have Frenzy, more armor. Holy crap. Okay, these guys have armor piercing. But the Blood Knights have the Flag of Bloodkeep, the Hunger, Frenzy. They can be healed. I guess the Blood Crushers can be healed on Demons of Chaos. Yeah, I think Blood Crushers could totally use a little bit of a buff. I don't care if Blood Crushers become the mainstay cavalry of Demons of Chaos, because then you actually have an armored unit for once. And it's not like you can just take only Blood Crushers. Super expensive cavalry in this game will always suffer. Just look at Pleasure Seekers. But like, these guys got to compete with Fiends, right? Now, you don't want to give Demons of Chaos yet another Fiend unit. In fact, the overlap is very strong. But, you know, just having an armored unit is not bad. 1,300 for Blood Crushers? If I do 1,300, is that too much? Buff the Great Unclean One and the other greater demons. I think for the next balance patch, it would be nice to buff monsters. This one is all about, like, specific units. If we make them 1,300, I would totally run a Blood Crusher instead of a Fiend. Or would I? Let's compare the stats for a second. Wait, hold up. Blood Crusher... Fiends have devastating flanker, bro. And 25 more speed. They only lack the armor, but they're like... really good. The thing is, they also have Soporific Musk, which is +5/+5 stats. So their melee is actually better than Blood Crushers. Their weapon strength is better than Blood Crushers. Yeah, honestly, 1,300 Blood Crushers is not the end of the world. Maybe Demons of Chaos start spamming them. I think 1,350 is a little bit more reasonable. Because if you make them that cheap, like, one Blood Crusher compared to a couple Flesh Hounds is kind of insane. But, you know, about the same price as, like, a little cheaper than a Dragon Prince. The thing is, it's already a very expensive faction. But if you make them 1350, they're about the same price as Fiends, and maybe they'll finally compete against them. Maybe we make them exactly the same price as Fiends, just to see. They're very similar. But like an armored Fiend that's kind of slower, I think that's fine. Now, Khorne's a weird one. Khorne's very strong versus a lot of factions. Where does Khorne struggle? Because Khorne doesn't struggle a lot. We had a whole meta with Khorne. Lord of Change cost decrease. I'd love to do a Lord patch where we update all of those guys. Yeah, I like that Blood Crushers are kind of the same price as Fiends. That feels about right. Only slightly expensive, slightly more expensive, but yeah, the speed difference is pretty cool. Khorne is terrible against Kite. Against some Kite. It has to be armor piercing Kite. The monster? Oh yeah, yeah, the Bloodthirster. The Bloodthirster of garbage. But that doesn't really help Khorne's bad matchups. It's just a Bloodthirster buff. I'm hoping these changes are being written down. Yeah, I have them all written down. Khorne is obviously great in the melee front. They don't need any changes there. They have dogs, which is pretty good mobility. I think the Blood Crusher cost reduction is honestly probably good enough. I would like to touch on Skull Crushers, but Blood Crushers 1350 for Khorne is honestly probably fine. Like, I think one unit for each faction is enough just to start. And it would help them in some Kite matchups. And you know what? Khorne should have really good melee cavalry. What should the ROR have? So if this guy's getting minus 150, the Heralds of Khorne's Fury. What do these guys even have? Mantle of Immolation. Extra damage for fire. I think we also just make them minus 150 and make them 1550. That's kind of similar to so if you take a look at these guys and compare them to, like, let's say Dragon Princes, that would make them, yeah, tankier Dragon Princes. Significantly slower though, no healing. Less charge bonus. It would make them a lot cheaper though. 1550 for this guy compared to Dragon Princes. It's Khorne though. Khorne should totally have strong melee cavalry. Khorne's big ground monster. This guy, the Slaughter Brute, terrible, absolute garbage. Okay, we're getting places though. Dragon Princes have no business costing 1400. Yeah, they could be a little cheaper for sure. Though they do see play sometimes. Just as they're on the precipice of good. They're like a B tier, solid B tier. Tomb Kings, as we saw, they suck versus Nurgle, right? They rely very heavily on their single entities to clear infantry. They have some of the best infantry clear in the game. What do they suffer against? Tomb Kings is a pretty solid faction. Knights of the Brazen Throne. Yeah, that's a little awkward. Honestly, Blood Crushers at 1350. It feels pretty low. I don't know if Khorne will just become a Blood Crusher spam faction, but I guess we'll see. The great thing about it being a mod is we can just update it as needed. But yeah, I don't have Empire either. Empire is also kind of a weird one. They're a really well-rounded faction, and they don't really need many solutions. If I'm playing Empire, the worst matchup is like Dwarves, but even then you have great swords now. Casket is definitely a fun unit. Kind of hard to say. Dwarves, though. Okay, wait. First things first. Dwarves need some loving. 500 gold cannons. Okay, wait. Dwarves need 11. We can't touch gyrocopters. That makes them cheesier in the matchups where they like to cheese. Dwarves, though. Also, there's the ambulance. State troop plus 25. Blanket, you crazy. These guys desperately need 3,000 Thunder Barge. They need, I don't know, man. Hammerers? Do dwarves need a stronger front line? No, they kind of suffer the same thing as Skaven, where they can't catch cavalry. But making slayers better is not gonna exactly solve that. I think troll hammers being cheaper is really interesting, but that might get some really annoying builds. Goblin hewer cheaper. Ballista. I don't know. So like dwarves are just so slow. They don't have capture weight. You can make them stronger a little bit. You can make rangers cheaper, I guess. Yeah, but like that can also make them way better at boxing. You need a unit to buff that doesn't make dwarves way more OP in every other matchup. Goblin hewer range is an interesting one. But we can't touch that. We're only doing price changes. 2 capture weight for footlords. That would honestly help out a lot. The thing is, chariots are still pretty good versus all these guys. So, my gut tells me that the troll hammer being cheaper would help in a lot of situations, but it would make dwarves way stronger in too many matchups. What about thunderers, though? What about thunderers? The hewer is the answer. I think the hewer being stronger is cool and all. I don't know if it's the answer, though. It makes dwarves way stronger against melee factions that can't shoot this to death. Which is like not what we need in the meta right now. Imagine if you're playing, look, do you really want to play as Bretonnia and the dwarves are just hewing your cavalry to death? Do you really want to play as Warriors of Chaos and you just can't do anything against this unbreakable artillery with spell resist? I think hewers would totally make dwarves way too strong in a lot of melee-centric matchups. They're like better versus vampire counts all of a sudden. They probably kill Slanesh if hewers get too good. You don't play as Bretonnia, you play Greenskins. Hewers against Greenskins would not be as crazy because it's got a lot of HP. It's kind of weird. Grudge Rakers, maybe? Shorter range, more disruptible unit. I wish I could give Slayers extra speed. Slayers and a lot of foot characters should get a speed bonus when a terror-causing unit is nearby. That would be sick. Dwarves is a weird one. Because what they really need is that capture weight. So what's the best way to buff late game dwarven capture weight? Because you can't make their army just stronger and they hold the line better. They need to be able to get on the point. And the best units to get on the point is like maybe Slayer Pirates? The hewers are Slayers. That's why they solve the problem. Let's see here. The thing is, Slayer Pirates can't secure points very well either. Landable barge. That would actually be so strong because the shotguns would be closer. Hewers enable extra slayers for the Dowie. Do these guys have Vanguard? Yeah, you'd have to give... If you gave dwarves Vanguard on Slayer Pirates, that would actually be a big change. cheaper longbeards could give them more capture weight laking. But dwarves are already kind of good at trading. They need to be better at taking points back. But you can't buff miners. You absolutely cannot buff miners unless you are a complete masochist. Kind of a weird one. I'll have to think on that. Alright, I'll do like 1 or 2 more factions and then we call it. So we got the Greenskin buff, we got the Corn buff, Kislev, Lizardmen, we're still a little unsure. Great Weapon Rangers buff. I was thinking maybe, but like, they still die to cavalry. They can be super cheap, but that would just make the Dwarven infantry corps stronger. If you're actually trying to take a point with them, they'll just die to cav. Hey, Mayan. I am actually about to end the stream. We're just looking for 1 more unit to buff. So we're finding the rosters with paper hammers. Units that are supposed to counter things, but they don't. And then buffing them. And it's kind of hard. Some of the rosters are not well built enough to be buffed in such a fashion. High elves. High elves, we gave Sisters of Avalorn. We make them cost 950. That one was pretty easy because high elves lack armor piercing, and Sisters of Avalorn don't see play even when they need armor piercing. So that one's very obvious and kind of like the gold standard. Warriors of Chaos are weird. Their infantry is actually not amazing. Chaos Knights is pretty standard. They already got Hellstriders, so their mobility is honestly good enough. They got good anti... yeah, they got anti-infantry. Like, they got big monsters and such. They got Forsaken, who can fight pretty well. Buff Dragon Ogres. I don't think that, like, solves a problem for Chaos, though. Weirdly enough, if I'm playing as Chaos, sometimes it feels like I don't have the best tools to kill big monsters. It's always just Archaon. Vampire Ghost. Buff the bloats. I can finally just buff the bloats myself. Vampire Coast doesn't need a lot of solutions. They honestly just need to kill ranged factions better, and buffing bloats does not do that. But Vampire Coast is actually one of the strongest factions in the game right now, which means we can buff the bloats. You know what? I think we end the stream on that. Ek the Elder. Thank you very much for your suggestion. Bloated corpses. I think if you make bloated corpses, 200 gold. I think if you make them 200 gold, that is the point when they can start being run kind of often. Because like they kind of sort of trade, right? But I think you would see bloated corpses too often if you did that. I would say 250 is a fairly good range, because sometimes they get no value, like a single entity just pops them. Sometimes they get like 500 value if they land a hit really well. Mortar buff? Dude, mortars are so good versus ranged already. Look at this build. I already have a preset anti-archer build. But yeah, bloated corpses at 250 is beautiful. I think that is the point where people actually would consider using them as a unit. 275. People are not going to be getting more than 250 gold with the bloated corpse, because you need that much value raw for them to pay for themselves, at least almost. And it's like so hard. If you have a 500 gold infantry unit and you run away from the bloat, it's probably not going to do well. You can slam cavalry into them. You know, have them be a decent tool versus cav and such. And make them super weak versus single entities that just pop them. And you know what? If they're OP, I can change the price. But all right, that was fun. Marked Gores. Who? Oh, Chaos. Oh my god, that would be so strong. But yeah, I think Bloated Corpses, you know what? Because Coast is already very strong, I'll do 275 just for safety. I think 275 is also fairly acceptable. Because sometimes you might want to use them to defend your reinforcement points or something. Deck Gunners, we can buff another day. Vampire Coast is already a fairly solid faction because the Mortars can clear archers. And Silastra so strong. If Silastra got nerfed, then they lose their archer killing power, and then you need to buff up Mortars or something. But right now, Vampire Coast is in a crazy strong position. We don't need to touch them. Alright, nice. I don't think there's any other obvious ones that we can really look at. Dark Elves, I don't even know what their weak point is. They're just kind of well-rounded. They got Scourge Runners. They got strong infantry rushes. They win cav fights pretty well. They can beat kite builds with Dark Riders, man. It's kind of hard to say. I do think it would be cool to buff Shades, though. Because it just gives them a different playstyle. I think in the entire roster, the unit that I see almost never is Shades. I've seen more Hydras than Shades by a large margin. Will you enable some extended roster units? Maybe, but not right now. Only if the faction desperately needs it to be functional. But I kind of want this to feel close to vanilla. Just that some units are a little bit more viable. I think Dark Elf Shades 900, 950, and 1000 is good. Great Sword Shades. I don't know why this unit costs 1100. That is absurd. The unit has like no HP. They have a bit of armor piercing, I guess. But like you use Shades as a range unit. So yeah, I think you just make this 1000 gold. I don't think that's gonna break the meta or anything. Sisters at 1k is a joke, right? Sisters of Avalor 950. Because we want high elves to be able to actually use them to win the matchups that they can't usually win. Right now they're doing all these weird like Plague of Rust shenanigans to beat armor. No one uses Sisters of Avalorn ever at a high level to beat armor factions. Sisters of Slaughter? Oh. Yeah, they are a little weak. Dark Elves already have a really good infantry rush though, so I don't want to give them more power there. But Sisters of Slaughter don't see a lot of play. They could use buff. They kind of get wrecked by spell casting. Okay, now I think we're done. Harry Hammerstorm, currently the most overpriced unit in the game. He could use a buff, yeah. But it doesn't really help the chaos matchups. But yeah, so we got Rot Knights at 1600. Rot Knights at 1600, minus 200 gold. We got Greenskins, Black Orc Big Boss on a mount at 750. We got Kislev Zargard at 900, 1000, and 1300, so they can actually fight undead factions for once. We got High Elf Sisters of Avalorn at 950, so that maybe they'll actually see play against armored factions instead of other janky things. Slanesh Devotee Crossbows at 1050, because if we touch anything else, Slanesh is just way too OP. Skaven Warp Grinders at 475 gold is actually a huge game changer. Vampire Count's Terrorgeists at 1800 gold, because Vampire Counts just have some unwinnable matchups. And Terrorgeists are typically the answer that is taken in those matchups. Tzeentch Screamers at 650 gold, so that you can actually use them to win cavalry fights for once. Wood Elf War Dancers at 775 gold, so that you're not being constantly run over by armored cavalry factions. Khorne Blood Crushers at 1,350 gold, so that Khorne actually has one of the best melee cavalry units in the game. Khorne's supposed to be good at melee. A Blood Crusher of Khorne seems like it should be good at melee. Hopefully it's not too much. If Khorne's spamming Blood Crushers like Slaanesh spams Fiends, that might be a problem, but we'll see. Vampire Coast Bloated Corpses at 275. I asked CA to buff them a long time ago. They reduced the cost by 25 gold. So we're finally going to implement how we wish they would be buffed. Dark Elf Shades at 900, 950, and 1,000 gold, respectively. You don't like the idea of Sisters of Avalorn being cheaper than Sisters of Slaughter? At some point, we'll adjust all the units so that they're kind of viable. But the time is not now. Now, I'm still missing out on like Beastmen, Chaos Dwarves, Empire, Lizardmen, Cathay, and the like, Ogres, Tomb Kings. But we can kind of work on that later. Oh yeah, Necropolis Knights. Jeez Louise. We finally figured it out. Tomb Kings, Necropolis Knights are supposed to be able to kill large units. They're supposed to be able to do that. This unit is so bad. Necro Knights. Yeah, absolutely. This thing should at least be 1250 and 1300 respectively, based off of performance. I've never seen a Necropolis Knight get 1,000 gold value. I think if we reduce them by 150, that's not gonna end the world, right? It does make it the same price as 2 Nahakar Horsemen, but like, I don't know if the unit's bugged or something. It just seems really lackluster. And a lot of Tomb Kings counters end up bullying these guys. And they're very Tomb Kings, so, you know, I like their aesthetic. Bone Giant and Hyrule Titan could use much love. They need more of a buff, but they don't solve matchups for Tomb Kings. Necropolis Knights, if they were good, it would actually solve a lot of their problems. Because right now, they can't kill Armored Cav without shooting. That's like the only thing they can do. Shooting and big monsters. So, I feel like that'd be very fitting. Nice. I'm liking where this is going. It's feeling good. Empire? Actually, Empire Demigryph Knights. Demigryph Knights are totally a unit that does not see play. They should totally be 1300 and 1350. This unit as an armor piercing option is so bad. Like, nobody uses it. People straight up, if Empire is facing Cold One Knights, no one recommends taking Demigryph Knights. A 100 gold reduction will be fine enough for them. I did buff a lot of cavalry, but hey, at least we're giving Skaven some sick anti-cav tech. Beautiful. Chaos Dwarves, I still don't know exactly what their issue is, though. I don't know. I don't know what there's. I don't know what needs loving on this roster. Sneaky gets already really good. They chaff spam like crazy. They got the armor mix-ups. The Chaos Dwarves are really weird. They kind of have a tool for every job. And then they're actually missing a tool. They don't have anti-cannon tech. So you can't really like buff up a unit for that. Black Orc Big Boss will be fun. Yeah. I'm excited. At some point we'll get this implemented. I just need to figure out the rest of these rosters and then we're good to go. Grand Cathay also runs into capture weight issues, by the way. Bring back the Terracotta Sentinel meta? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I want to start with the buff, and then we do the nerfs later. But alright, I think we're finally done. I hope you guys enjoyed. We won a tournament with Nurgle, 7-0. Kind of insane. And I hope you guys had a great time. Good showcase of their strength. I will see if I can raid somebody. I think, anyone know if Mercy the Mad is streaming? Mercy Mad. No one's streaming Warhammer 3 right now? Surely there's somebody that I know that's streaming. And I see no one. Wow. Okay, never mind. I guess we'll just end the stream then. In that case, instead of rating, shoutouts to you guys. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. It is very much appreciated. And fingers crossed, we can actually give some life to the multiplayer scene soon enough. But for now, I must rest. Bye-bye.